It's 1 p.m. We will begin the afternoon's work session of Lake County Board of County Commissioners. Thank you, everyone. We have first on the agenda, calendar review, led by Sandra Pettis.
It would be very quick. Next week, Monday the 28th, we have a special meeting from 2:30 to 3. And the Lake County School District Board of Education work session from 5:30 to 8. And there's also a planning commission meeting from 4 to 6.
What is our Monday special meeting?
This is Jackie's thing.
Oakwood contract.
Okay,
You'll hear more about that this afternoon's work session.
Okay.
Where we are on that.
okay. And planning commission.
Yes. Tuesday the 29th, a work session from 9 to 10. Another special meeting from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And the City of Leadville Housing Authority meeting is from 5 to 6. And the 30th is community coffee. And I am not showing anything for Thursday the 4th, or 1st, or Friday the 2nd.
Just the community coffee in Twin Lakes, but it's not been high on our.
Yeah, actually I need to, I'm gonna know that one, that's not on there. Add that back on. Right. Agenda.
Okay, feedback on priorities, agenda item number 2. What's up, guys? Thank you, Sandra. How we feeding? Are we back?
I don't know what to say.
I don't know really either, but I guess it's a good time to discuss our priorities. Where we're at and how we're progressing and how everyone's feeling. So you always have surprising new things that you're putting on your plate that I'm completely unaware of. So where's things going? Where's things at right now with your priorities?
I don't know. What's new? What's new that you want an update on?
I guess we can do a little shuffle of our whiteboard maybe.
Sure.
Okay. Alrighty. And do we could probably split it up into 3 columns, cause we're starting to branch out into, I don't need so much hand holding maybe as I did week 1, things like that.
There's no eraser. Do you need an eraser? I've got one in my. Okay, yeah.
I've got a tissue.
Do what you want.
If you wanna use a tissue instead.
Some stuff splashes out.
Yeah, you can erase that.
New PTA office space.
You can erase that.
Yeah.
You can erase the public avenues for input too.
Okay.
And new, yeah.
Blue definitely stains the board.
Maybe spit on your sleeve.
I'm not doing that.
Are you ready for an update?
On?
Jerry and Jeremy are the same people.
What?
So Jeremy lives at my house when Jerry said he was gonna meet me there.
What do you mean they're the same people?
If, what you were talking about earlier.
Jeremy tiled my bathroom and then ghosted me.
Oh,
Jerry showed up today to tile my kitchen, who's also Jeremy.
you mistakenly called him Jeremy.
That's what he said to call him.
You can erase that BOCC room layout thing,
Yeah,
you can erase that whole thing.
Jerry, my guy Jerry that showed up today?
Yes,
Okay.
but previously he had showed up at our house with a different phone number named Jeremy. Yeah.
What? What?
Change his
So-
name?
When I got to my house and Jeremy was there, I was like, "You're Jerry too, aren't you?" He's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I never called you back. This is an interesting ploy to get me to tile your kitchen." And I was like, "Cool."
Huh,
Cause he had talked to my husband about the bathroom with my husband's number.
So which name is correct?
He goes by Jerry, just like I go by Liz instead
Oh,
of
I see.
Elizabeth.
His real name is Jeremy. Well, that's great.
So I can confirm he does good work.
He does good work. Hopefully it doesn't hinder my project.
He's doing
Okay.
good.
Do you guys wanna split this up into each of us, or
I don't know, what is the goal? What is
the
the
goal would be is just maybe be aware, I guess if we've got an hour to go over our priorities, if we even spent like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Talking about where each of us are at and what we're focusing on at the moment.
Sure.
And maybe we can help direct people, we just,
And this would also be helpful for staff guidance. So today, we kind of took your priorities and linked it to the work that we're already doing and expanded upon it. So, did we hit the mark? Is this what you are thinking for your top level priorities and progress? Or do we need to kind of shift in some ways? Because as we go into another round of strategic conversations with y'all, to expand and expound upon what the priorities are for year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, we really wanna make sure that the staff have the guidance that they need, also some positive reinforcement that we're following the right path, or the guidance to be like, hey, let's shift this a little bit.
Okay, so can you share out the priorities document that this is starting from? Or is that in our packet?
Let me put something in your packet, and I think that can be a guide.
That would be great.
my handwriting was so much worse than yours.
Do you want me to do it?
No, I was only joking with my
Yeah, me too.
schlumpy handwriting. Start rattling them off if you got them.
Okay. The pool.
For real? Okay.
I don't know, this is stuff we're working on, not things that I mean, I'm clearly prioritizing it because I'm making space for it,
Yeah,
but
it's like the vision board.
yeah. It's like you're on Pinterest.
No, I like that, cause it's something that.
So these are the priorities that really kind of emerged out of the winter retreat. So this is what was shared with staff. And then the guidance that was given to them for this first round of presentations was just really tying it back and forth.
Mhm.
So as you see, like we've done quite a bit of work in these areas leading to this moment. And then these priorities were kind of helping us shape the future. So what I did, these were some of the items you came up with, and I tried to kind of thematically funnel it into a top level theme. These bolded statements were the ones that you indicated that you were like, let's go.
Yeah, for 6 month priorities.
Yep.
Are you ready for more?
Yeah. Lay it on, man.
Mine closure plan? I don't know what to call it. Mine,
Elsa, I feel like you're gonna have a really long list and I'm gonna have a very short list.
Mine
Can
closure
you just work
plan,
on each other's?
mine closure plan,
plans, plural?
plan with a Z.
Oh
and,
snap, okay.
Thank you. An economic development plan. I don't know.
As part of said climax plan.
I don't know.
I do not want to confuse those two things. That's why I'm making those two things, but don't call it a plan, call it a
Crystal ball.
POV.
Strategy.
It's very Gen Alpha, so just go with it. Yeah, but
Oh.
yeah, you do your stuff. Yeah. Nice. Our county manager onboarding, getting our shit together when it comes
Put that
to,
across all three of us, but you're on
I know, all of these things are all of ours,
it, yeah.
but it's just that we're divvying up who's doing that.
Alright, I got one, how about the corner facility?
And that,
Yeah, there you go.
And the grooming,
and grooming,
the easy, I can take the easy stuff.
Do you wanna just do broader than grooming and do mineral belt trail?
yeah,
Bell Trail Committee,
Yeah.
I went to Tritz's house last week, that was real fun. He's a cool dude. What else? I got the Lake County Regional Housing Authority. And the IMTPR, Intermountain Transportation Plan.
I also have LCRHA on mine. Nice.
We've had a few new applicants for the Regional Housing Authority position, also we haven't had any responses from the Regional Housing Authority on
Oh, we should
accepting those applications, and or do you want us to close the position? No one has responded, and so creating us a little, what do
okay,
you guys want to do with this? Cause we don't hire them, the county per se don't decide on that, the
Right.
housing authority does, so.
we're actually meeting, we have a meeting this evening where we're meeting the finalists.
Okay, so we can go ahead and close it.
We can close that, yes, I'm sorry, I
No, it's okay.
did not realize we were supposed to be responding to that. You can put pros under me.
Okay.
I'm trying to back off on that, but I am paying attention.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
And the Dutch Henry culvert. What do you call it, just Dutch Henry? I've been trying to pay attention to and push it along.
You should put fire management board up on my list. Just so it looks a little bit more full.
Matt, that's cheating.
What else can you put up there?
I've been working on communications with our community through, we've all been doing our own, but I'm just saying, like, I'm helping with the one community project storytelling event. I did the transportation thing, spoke with Senator Bennett and Brittany Pedersen, Representative Pedersen. I'm trying to work on the community comms a bit and push that along.
Mine are so trivial and silly.
I know we haven't like assigned anyone yet, but I've been meeting with all of the judges and the state architect, planner, designer.
Elsa's gonna hit the bottom of the board
No, I'm
first
not.
before the rest of them.
No.
She's over.
She's winning.
I'm
State,
saying my
what,
time.
state judicial, is that what you're saying?
No, just for our renovations,
Oh.
I'm saying we haven't chosen who's gonna represent that, and I'm not saying that I'm taking it on. I'm just saying that I've been trying to build relationships and avenues of communication with our courts staff, so that when we do our renovations, we've got like a
I
nice,
wonder if we could split that somehow, so I could be more engaged with the construction part of it.
yeah, cool.
I know that you are concerned about the sheriff taking all of our budget and all that space, but the only reason I say it is because of all my construction experience, and it was kind of a campaign promise.
Yeah, I'm happy for that, I'm not taking it on because I want to, I just wanna restart that relationship, I was like, no, let's restart. Cause we're new here, so I wanted to understand where they were coming from.
And they were totally ignored.
Yeah.
And we were,
Yeah.
in our new windows and all that stuff, so I don't know, maybe we could split it up and you could do the work and I could get the credit.
That sounds perfect.
That's how we do it at my house.
Very gender appropriate.
So I don't know if we could both attend those meetings, who would have to post them?
We get to decide.
Oh.
We get to
Those
decide.
Monday meetings, those alternating Monday meetings.
We can, yeah, we'd have to post them, but that's not a problem.
I think that would be helpful
Let's do
considering the work that you put into it.
It's such a big thing, it would probably be awesome if you guys were
Yeah,
teaming up.
it is, I'm anxious to see what the preliminary numbers are, the next step.
There's the, I don't know what to call it, it doesn't have a name yet, but we were all at the first meeting about trying to understand federal and state impacts on our local entities and services. I continue to go to those meetings and have been trying to collect the information that's being gathered there, working with BAG to see how it can be communicated and more streamlined so that when somebody loses funding, everybody can know and we can see how to flex to that. I don't know what to call it. And obviously all of these things are with staff, it's not like I'm doing any of these things on my own.
Oh, yeah, that was our good team.
Yeah, just wanna be super clear. I'm not going rogue.
I think we probably all could collectively put, I guess airports kinda are sort of, not on autopilot, but it's function, the next steps are already kinda locked into place there, right?
Yeah, staff's really driving that.
Yeah.
I resisted all day. Can resist no more.
You did so good. I've been showing up to those CCI and CCAT meetings and representing Lake County in our legislative conversations. Matt, you could put up, the community fields. You've been such a thought partner in trying to figure out how to get community fields to be more usable longer term.
Okay, that looks good.
This is the RFP for the courthouse, for the architecture record, is that the final?
Yeah, it was just to add those things in, which I just asked Sandra if we incorporated those things into that, so, yeah, I didn't have, that was just the placeholder, so it should be ready to go once those are put in.
Just attach those to it.
We need to, there's a link in there, there's a reference to it in the RFP, that's supposed to be linked, so we'll have to change that reference to say attached or something like that,
Okay.
instead.
You share that with us,
Sweet.
Hey, Andy, can you add golf course to the new
Yes,
slash Mirabel slash golf course?
I'm just gonna make it its own thing for you.
Okay. Cause that's looking promising now. Nordic, specify Nordic.
Or dork.
And yes, definitely.
Does this align with what we came out of the JP County
Do you wanna hear?
county building?
Do you want me to read it out and you can,
I'm gonna take a step back, just
Okay.
from 10 feet or 20 feet, whatever it's from is.
Enough about the forest management board.
Is that in conjunction with fire management? I will totally write it down on yours. Just pull up.
okay, it looks like most of this is up here. Under housing and policy, we've got addressing government's role in addressing housing challenges, that's us under regional housing authority.
Forest Health Council.
Airport infrastructure
It's in the
is happening. Sewer infrastructure, airport stuff is happening. Mine closure
Oh,
plan
yeah, so,
happening.
yeah, and then I think
Rec advisory committee question mark?
this one,
Okay.
yeah.
Or should that just die? Grooming, motocross, community field, ice rink. Those are all up there. Ski Cooper is up there. Dutch Henry is up there. The recreation center with a pool is up there. OHV is up there. Foster a board culture of open communication with staff and each other.
That's like all three of us, right?
I'm just saying that's up on our priorities. I
Yeah.
do feel like I'm doing a little bit of that, even though I know there's a lot more room for growth.
Is that like, that's kinda, are we doing okay with that, like trying to make strides to improve with that?
I mean, it was a pretty high priority as community engagement that you all came away with.
I heard the word staff.
Yeah, this is the one with staff and each other.
I'm just under community engagement.
Oh.
That first one is foster a board culture of open communication with staff and each other. The next one is identify opportunities for collaboration on state and local ballot initiatives. The third is strengthen relationship with city council, local boards, nonprofits, and the people of Lake County. So yeah, that's. I think it's already up there for me, I need something. I've got community comms. You don't have to raise, sorry.
I don't have to write that
I'm
down,
micromanaging, I'm sorry.
but it's something we did commit to working on, and I think these things slip out of our heads if it's not somewhere where we can see it and just think about it vision board style, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys feel like this is where we get to the point of like our bandwidths we have so much stuff that you can't focus on things? Or is that our job?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, thank God we have staff, because before, each commissioner was managing 10 departments. So they couldn't even think about these larger priorities as a board.
Yeah.
So I do think that this position's bandwidth is far more open than it has ever been.
Right.
So we can think about these larger initiatives.
There's also a lot, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting your
No, go for it.
process, but there's a lot on here that I'm seeing, we have upcoming work sessions on, that I know staff are working on. There's a few on here that I don't think we have work sessions on, nor do I think staff is working on, that I would be helpful to get direction of like, should they be engaging you or supporting you?
Okay,
So, like
Should I-
reviewing the skate park, we're not doing anything on that internally as staff that I know of, can we
No.
help you with that? Can we set something up, can we?
yeah, I've got some stuff going out
You
on
do?
that,
Okay.
yeah, it's a pretty simple, tiny little thing. I need some small little simple things that I can erase off there so I can feel good at some point.
But like, does comms know about it so they can organize
Yep.
something,
Yes.
think about it?
So CME and I have both reached out to Andy, and what we're waiting on is for him to connect with the family.
All dead, sorry, be grim, but
Okay, we're waiting for him to connect with the right stakeholders to see if we want to
Yes.
move forward with that. And then we have a couple different ideas and options of how to achieve the goal.
yeah.
There's no surviving family members?
There's a stepsister and an aunt who dumped him into a care home or something where he spent the last couple years of his life alone.
Well, there should be some information.
Huh? Huh?
So you're gonna rename it, but also like do some dedication class?
Yeah, we'll have like a ceremony, but it's just gonna be a party to celebrate the guy. He's the reason that skate park's there.
Yeah.
If he never started the Blaze the Belt to raise money for plywood to fix the metal ramps, then Parks and Rec would have never gotten wind of that and been like, hey, I think you can just raise a bunch of money with like skateboarding. I think we can find grants with that, these can be matching funds for, and then all of a sudden, from there, it just ballooned into what we have now for a skate park.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah,
Is he still on?
Let's do
No.
Trucks,
huh?
off to death,
Well,
little skate park.
Yeah, you can use one on my wall, I got some, early in the morning, that's like the old man skate sesh times.
Yeah.
All the old
Nobody's
guys show,
awake yet.
yeah, all
Yeah.
the kids, all the good kids aren't there, so all the old guys show up fully padded up,
Yes.
you know?
I used to go out there in my hockey, my
Nice.
hockey shorts, protect my hips,
Alright.
very early in the morning, cause it's very embarrassing.
Yeah.
Lauren, what else is up there that we,
I'm thinking about public
I
works
could-
support, Matt and I talked about this yesterday, of like, do you want to have, last year, maybe the year before, Public Works came back with, if you wanted to put more funding into paving, these are the things that we could do in addition,
Mhm.
and this is, how much they would cost.
Mhm.
Decisions were made based off that, specific roads were paved by because of that. We could do something similar if you wanted to put additional funding towards paving. We just don't have a set up time for you all to actually make a decision on that, so.
Right, we've each got like 10 things, should we each pick a handful to be like the sooner than later or higher priority, or should we
For
just
staff?
leave it as it, yeah, cause if Lauren's saying there's stuff up there that, like, I don't want staff to look at that and be like, oh man, we gotta go working on all this stuff right now, more of like, that's as much for me to remember and like look up if I put it in my notebook, I might not look at it enough, you know what I mean, like. So, and I do have some pretty low hanging fruit on there that I'll probably be able to erase before too long. But,
Most of it though, I think staff is working on.
Yeah.
They review it.
okay,
There's a few that I'm like, but. There's also from the presentation you all got today, there's a lot more that staff is working on, that if you would like them to deprioritize something to prioritize this, that would be helpful to know now. Or if you felt like what they were doing now and collaborating on is in line with where you want them to go. Or if you have feedback on what they're doing, maybe change in a different direction.
There was one point where Adam was talking about the mine closure plans. And I recall when he and I chatted, he made it clear in the presentation, but like there just isn't staff capacity to be like doing that internal work, so we'd have to work on that, and I didn't even think we were close to that, so just wanna make sure that there's not like pressure towards the TED department, that there's something they're supposed to be doing on this, so that they're going to be expected to do something that we don't even have a plan.
No, when I talked to him, I was like, we need to figure out what the mine closure fund looks like in the budget.
Yes.
Before we even know how much money we could divert towards economic development or what that plan is, like we need to figure out how to live off of less in our budget before we focus on that, and so that's what the direction I gave him.
Great.
But if that's in line with you.
Oh, yeah, that's totally in line, I just got a little nervous, I was like, oh shoot, when I chatted with him, I didn't mean to like imply that there was anything for him to do.
I think he's just an overachiever and wants to make
I
sure
know, I
he's
love
being
it.
thorough, so.
I only ever say to him, please do less, and someday he will listen to me. Okay, thank
and I
you.
think UCOG is also like, I don't even know if UCOG knows what UCOG's doing, so how am I supposed to
Yeah,
know?
fair.
And I'm like, last meeting I was at, they were like, well, what do you think about this? I'm like, I still have no idea what you guys are doing, I'm just trying to absorb and hopefully learn about, but the only guy I got to know a little bit down there, Max Max Hansen, is
He
gone.
just moved.
Yeah, and I'm like,
To
wait,
Whitney.
who's the David somebody? I don't even, it's all unfamiliar faces and, I don't know. And all doom and gloom every meeting. Seriously, dude, they're like ours, all they do is talk about how messed up everything is. Are we paying money into that, like, was it 15,000 a year or something we're giving to them, 20,000 a year to UConn?
That sounds about right. No, I think it's more like less than 10 for our dues.
I hope so, cause we're not getting anything out of it other than,
I think Chafee's more like 40K or something, less than 10 for our population.
alright.
But yeah, we're not getting.
I have done some meetings with other community leaders who are about the vacancy tax discussion. I saw Ann actually put something up on that today, so I was like, maybe I'll take the lead on that and carry that conversation on and with Lauren's help, cause it's a state level thing as she's able. But yeah, I didn't think to wrap Ann in on that, but I guess she's probably a relative person to, it was in her slides of stuff she was touching on the topics, not.
Yeah, just cause we have housing, I know CPD covers our, what's it called, housing tax,
Okay.
yeah, short-term rental, thank you. So I'm sure she has just feedback on how we could best implement it,
Yeah.
like what is second home, what is not, you know?
Right, yeah, it was on the same line actually as a short-term rental tax, vacancy tax, so. And if I could build my tiny home village, it's gonna get everyone out of the trailer parks. Into their own homes.
And I feel like you have the most pressing, like timeline, the first two, well, first three, Cooper, the motocross track.
Yep, I'd say by about 2.5, 3 weeks, I might be able to take those off the list, I hope. Well, Cooper's gonna be an ongoing relationship building exercise ongoing exercise in relationship building for a long time. Those guys are not budging easily. I think I've got the chairman of the board, he's starting to let me bend his ear about which people need to go first, which I think is a good step.
He's willing to make changes?
So, yeah, I know,
Okay.
everybody knows there's,
Sanders for,
Yeah.
yeah, we did.
We don't have
Fine,
to
I just
watch
wanted
each
to-
other.
I just wanted to remind you in case that happened.
Yeah,
That's great.
anywhere in the world needs turnover. But we do too,
Smooth operator, I love it.
so it's, yeah.
Yeah, it's the Cooper and the motocross track. I feel like you should have another checkbox next to animal shelter that you could cross off.
Yeah,
Because accomplished.
or just like gold stars or something.
I'm not
Should we have a
going
sticker board?
I'm not gonna, no, we're not done yet. We gotta get this advisory board set up and then see how it interacts and, it's not done.
Oh,
No, and that's fine, I'm excited, it's next steps,
I like crossing things off, so.
I know.
So we try to knock that rec advisory board down to like 3 people.
Or even have it, like, should we have it if people aren't participating? Do we need it? What do we need it for?
We might have needed it to collect lottery funds.
So I don't believe there's language in the resolution that established it about that. I think it was just generally like, hey, we wanna engage people to give feedback, but I can send you all the resolution just so you can have that as context.
Yeah.
And it does, the formula is quite a few seats, and that's a huge time obligation for any human, we know that. How, I'm just curious, Edie, cause you talked about the mineral belt committee. Matt did, just kidding. How engaged are those folks?
I think they're mostly, I don't know, I can't speak for them, but
Okay,
they're passionate about the mineral belt.
yeah,
Maybe I could, oh, sorry.
Seems to me that I don't know, there's no interest, and hasn't been any interest in a long time in holding meetings without any kind of quorum, then what is the point?
Or if the department just gets better at taking feedback and integrating it into their plans, then we don't
Yes,
need
Lauren, yes.
like more ongoing,
A
just.
feedback page or
I mean, they collect feedback and do nothing with it.
Yeah,
and they know,
what do they do?
That's the rec advisory board itself.
no. What Lauren's saying is that like, what if it was just built into the pros department, that you collect feedback as opposed to needing to have a fully separate advisory board
Yeah,
that hopefully is representative of the people you're actually serving through your programs.
Is that
It's just not realistic.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
is that specifically the role of the rec advisory board is to direct pros?
No.
It's to give advice, to advise
But who
From
are they
community.
advising?
pros.
She just said no.
No, who do you think they're advising?
No, they're providing general recreation feedback in the community, that's what the language of the resolution says, I'll pull it up for you.
we just appoint people like Amy from the school and somebody from the adult.
You have to have people's consent. You have to know that they wanna be there, that they wanna show up for it. Right now, it's a self-nomination system.
I'm not really a fan of if the rec board's not working, I'm not a fan of like continuing something or like trying to,
Entice people.
yeah, especially when we have so many boards, so many requests of people's time.
I'm still unclear as to what they do.
They advise on recreation.
To our county rec department? Okay, so yes, that's what they're
Yeah,
doing,
Jane.
they're basically telling Duncan, hey, this is what the community wants to see. And would it work if it was full, and would it have any teeth as far as actually getting Duncan to?
What if we just make
They're just
ourselves the
advisory.
advisory board?
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying there's no teeth
Well,
behind an
my
advisory.
definition of teeth is would it gain any traction, I guess, with making changes or would their suggestions ever be more than suggestions, like,
This community's had multiple versions of this. And when the community wants to give feedback, they create their advisory council. And when they don't participate. Like
Okay.
Placer was our rec advisory.
and this might be where you're way more efficient at some things, cause I think my brain always wants to try to fix stuff instead of get rid of it, and that might not be the right call here.
I misspoke, it's not a resolution, they have bylaws that they created once upon a time.
So,
And just kind of akin to this conversation, the airport advisory board, which was established by resolution, I would say is in a very similar
Yeah.
status.
Yes.
so if they got bylaws, does that mean there's a lot more strings attached with dissolving it, or?
I couldn't find anything that requires y'all to have that. And so, in the recorded documents about it, so it's just the bylaws, they have a charter, but doesn't reference any reason why it was established.
What would we use to replace that?
Can I'm gonna make another plug for what Lauren said, which is that you actually solicit feedback from the people using the services. So a stronger system of feedback from your clientele. Which I think that they are trying to create and strengthen what infancy systems they have in place right now. That's far more efficient, more equitable, more informative than 3 to 7 people on board who probably don't represent the children who use our rec department.
Never seen it be effective. The people who use the motocross track had no sway in it getting shut down, and they were numerous and all over the place. They were saying, like, this isn't dangerous, this isn't, and then things like the grooming stuff, people were putting all kinds of input in on that, and it seemed like it informed Matt, but it didn't, Matt informed the rec department, sort of, I'm wondering how effective that's gonna be. The curling club, there was a million things we were trying to get changed with the rec department about how they were, doing that, nothing changed.
Okay, this is a good I like this line of query, is like because the rec let's just be honest, the rec department hasn't listened to any feedback, even when it's been requested and solicited. So we know that we and the pros department knows that that's something that they need to do better. What you're talking about though is more like more of our recreational assets outside of what pros manages. So Mineral Belt Trail, the grooming, you know,
Yeah,
they started managing that, but they weren't managing it before that, and then motocross trail. Yes, Andy Lee?
before you dive into that, is my fundamental misinterpretation of this, cause I'm looking at this like recreation advisory board, or it should be rec department advisory board.
That's a great, yeah,
It
great.
operates as a rec department,
I
very
think
current.
it does too. So I pulled up the bylaws, I just sent them to you, and it's pretty interesting, the language in it and how it's framed, and I don't think it's how it's functioning. But the purpose in the bylaws that were created in 2016 says the board shall advise the county commissioners on all matters referred to it by the county commissioners. So its structure's not happening, doesn't sound like a bad structure, but it sounds like it could be refreshed.
So we could
Or-
say right now, hey, rec advisory board, advise us on the motocross park, or advise us on dirt bike usage. And then they would, we give them their purview. Is that how I'm hearing it, Liz? And then they advise us on that?
So that seems to be how the document is constructed. I don't believe that that's how the group has functioned. So I think you would need I think it'd be fair to give a runway if you wanna use it in that way in a conversation. But if you're gonna refresh it, but what Lauren's saying is really, really valuable. You can't pick 4 community members and be like, you are the voice of the people.
Yeah.
But
It's about Nordic skiing, when some of you may not do that.
Yeah. How did you enjoy tumbling toddlers? Tell us more, old people.
Yeah.
we have tools for capture. They
Yes.
just need to be
Yeah.
integrated in how we communicate with folks. And that's a really thoughtful plan, but every time you as an adult participate in something, I didn't get any chance to give comments about curling, other than being like, hey Brennan, curling was awesome last night.
Yeah, it was awesome, but it took me over an hour and many people I know to figure out how to even sign up for it this year.
I think a bigger strategic,
I said
let's
what's in them.
fix our communications, the ease of access, and use that to create opportunities for real feedback. So we have data and we're not just making decisions based on one or two people's feelings, there's actual data to back up what and inform what we do.
So.
Yeah, an advisory,
Recreation advisory survey committee.
So going back in time just a little bit further, one of the previous priorities of the board was really define pros. And we used what was called a win wheel, W-I-N, what's important now. Cause I think that y'all are expressing it, there's a little bit lack of clarity of function of all of the different branches of the pros department. You know, you're saying rec department, but it's Parks, Recreation, Open Space, and Goal. So should it be viewed holistically, and then what are those branches' individual functions? We already have a setup for that, an example with Public Works, cause that's the house, and then it has the branches of landfill, road and bridge, and maintenance, same thing with operations. So we have those pieces, that group with y'all's guidance and other really smart people just need to take some time to reshape and have those really fun conversations and probably terrible.
well, that's a great point, Liz, cause why would we have a rec advisory board?
Yep.
But not a
Yes.
public works advisory board or
Oh, yeah.
or health advisory board?
Or budget advisory.
Yeah. And if, like, we've heard, like, this might not be the best tool in our toolbox to make sure that the community can advocate for
Right.
their needs, because as we know, even pros and goal, they are not the house of recreation. Like our Ski Cooper lease, our motocross lease, those things aren't managed by pros at all. So maybe a rec advisory board is not the right tool for the problem that you're bringing up, valid point you're bringing up.
So we got rid of it and I can erase something off my list?
Check
Check.
it, check it, don't erase it.
We kind of function as the rec.
I was just gonna, between everyone in this room, we've got our finger on the pulse of 80% of recreation here.
We're advising yourself so well.
I do not golf.
Somebody
Chris
needs to
does.
take up golf.
Not
I got fishing,
I drive the
archery, all things
I drive my
motors.
kids around,
Alright,
I think it's fun.
sweet.
Before y'all decide on that, I'm gonna send.
We're not deciding anything, cause it's a
Okay,
work
yeah,
session.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the first point. The second one is I'm gonna send y'all some additional draft documents that I found that have to do with the charter and organizational intent and stuff of the rec advisory board.
Cool.
That may inform some of this discussion later too, so.
It was just kind of painful seeing that as an action item on a presentation, like, we had 2 meetings that were pointless. That was like, this is what we've been up to, and I'm like, bro, come on.
That's very informative, though, isn't it? Of like how
It
valuable
wasn't,
it
but
is.
it's not a compelling action item.
No, but I think it is compelling, Andy, because
That's
here
like-
we are like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
2
you're
meetings.
right,
oh,
This
nothing
is-
happened, should
this
we
is-
do this?
you guys should take action about this item.
Yes.
Not like, here's what I've been up to.
I'm compelled.
So, yeah,
Because this is a work session, maybe you can give us at least direction, would you like to see something at a regular meeting about the continuance or ending of the rec and airport advisory board?
I mean, right now, we're just talking about priorities. We haven't even had a chance to dive into extra info
Okay.
that Chris could supply and have a full-on conversation. I mean, I guess we are right now. If you guys wanna charge through this
I mean-
discussion of whether or not we should make a decision at a future date, then we could, let's go ahead and set that decision time up now, but
If
I
we,
think-
if we do that, it would necessitate that staff then does the research that we could then make an informed decision. And we could even table it in that moment,
okay,
but this would trigger staff to go back and like research, how valuable is it, why was it established, how easy is it to disband? And then we can have the discussion in public meeting and either make a decision or table it for another time.
And is it functional?
Oh, excuse me, Liz, did I get it wrong?
No. So this is interesting, history is repeating itself. So one of the
Cool.
past priorities of the board was to review every single committee, whether it was advisory, statutory, or just for fun. What was the foundational document to define it?
Okay. So what did they do?
So we got really frustrated and stuff to begin.
wait, what?
Why?
Okay, well, one, our past strategic planning system was not super successful in how it was enacted. So the system wasn't good, but also getting people to engage with the process of inventorying committees, advisories, and all of that fun stuff. Emails were sent out, there was no response. So
From
this is
commissioners.
commissioners and chairs of these various different groups and agencies. But what we do have is a comprehensive list of what is required statutorily, what's just for fun.
Awesome.
So I would suggest, even though that one is a higher priority, because it feeds into revisiting how we address and support recreation and leisure in our community, it could be apt to clean house.
Sweet.
Great.
I enjoy cleaning house.
I mean,
Or just deciding if a board's there, that it's real and doing things.
Yeah.
And knows what it is that we would like
Well,
to be the outcome.
and we know that like there are too many requests on volunteers' time in this community and
Yeah.
there's real like leadership fatigue. So I see us being a community service, frankly.
And I would say that the apathy that we received was a symptom of these tools not working.
In the system.
I would be up for making a decision on that at the next appropriate time.
I commit to reading. I commit to reading all emails. about this.
Oh,
Great.
wow, alright.
I do read all emails and I commit to reading all emails about
I at least
this.
open them up and skim over every single one. Some of them I read in depth.
I'm just saying, since Liz said that there was not great response and that was awful for staff,
Yeah.
I'm committing to that now.
Can I ask, what would be never mind, sorry, that's a nothing burger.
My suggestion is I'm gonna check in with Brenna, who is charged with kind of leading this.
Oh, okay.
How far did we get? What was the roadblock? And get to that inventory and make some really good choices about next steps to provide y'all with the information that you need. And then we can kind of go to the next step.
If there were any county that was in a similar position to this, and they did some of the things that we were discussing, what would their communications department use to make sure it was not a bad PR move or had bad optics?
I think we need to understand the larger ecosystem. Are we cleaning up just, hey guys, every once in a while we do our chores and we clean our house, you know? These tools that we established are not doing what we thought, there wasn't huge engagement, so we're gonna go ahead and gently sunset them. That doesn't mean they're off the table. That could be one way to approach it. The other way is if this is recreation focused, we need it to be a part of the larger picture. Saying, sure, this may not look like this, but this is what it looks like now. So for me, there's two different pathways depending on what we learn from this exploration of boards and groups and committees.
Or hey, there's 5 other chances for you to give your input through
Correct.
That's sort of where I'm going
any
with
other
this.
options.
Is like, would a county in that position maybe offer another avenue that is an improvement, like, hey, this isn't working, we're gonna try this, and so everyone can have a voice. Here's a link, say what you like, what you don't like, tell us, because as it exists in said county, it is not working.
Said county.
I just wanna stay very far away from the idea that we might be making a decision. This is about a hypothetical county somewhere else out there.
It's Cape
dealing with
County.
this also.
Are they? Okay, yeah, exactly. I've heard the same, as of now.
I mean, it could be a real PR boon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many people who have the impression that there are like too many boards to serve on. And some of those boards are very active and actually doing direct service. And then some of those boards are meeting and not having quorum for years. So I do think that this could help kind of address some of that issue while not hamstringing the work that's actually being done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and free up pros to get some work done.
Okay.
Okay, that's one little thing up there. What are we gonna talk about next? Whoa, we really could burn up a whole hour of
Sure.
this. I felt like it was a little bit wallowing in the beginning. Now we're talking about important stuff. It's great, thanks.
I'm curious, so the project groups are gonna be like, hey, how'd it go, what they think, are we on the map? And then, that's the time to give them like, hey, this is what we learned from this experiment and how we talk about sharing the work that we're doing, how it ties to priorities. When we go into our second quarter of presentations, this is probably the areas to focus on.
Okay, I don't know if I have the right response to that, but I will just say that my impression from those presentations was I was just, number one, incredibly impressed and incredibly grateful that this is the direction we're moving in, is these kind of issue areas. And to Anne's point at the end, there's so much work that each department is doing that was not presented on today, or that they didn't find alignment with our priorities. And I feel like we all stepped in just being like hot off the streets. No institutional knowledge at this table, except for our own perspectives from the outside of this building. So, kind of like the 201 of what are the departments doing now and what are their priorities? So to better inform us too, because yes, we're representing the community, but also it's really important for us to know what work is being done to then inform the community back. So just, it'd be cool to hear what they care about too, that maybe we're not covering.
I'm sorry.
No, I was repeating myself, but.
Maybe that's something that, given time after the upheaval has settled down a little bit, like, I think we've gotten really in the weeds with this conversation before about where does the operational efficiency / chain of command, everything kind of start and stop? And are we ourselves trying to take a deep dive into each individual department and hear what their problems, hopes, dreams, aspirations are, or are we gonna use the appropriate, or use different, maybe, interfaces there, like it was like the hourglass, I think is what we kinda ended up with.
Yeah.
And so how do we hear about what each department's struggling with, like as much as I want to know firsthand what Mark Wadsworth was having serious issues with and he had brought that to us, is that the right approach for every department? And I'm not saying it is or isn't, I just.
Well, I'm saying that, oh, sorry, Liz.
No. I was trying to find the gap and then you started at the same time, it's like we're in a virtual
Sorry.
meeting. So we have two kind of mechanisms built in to kind of hit on what you're talking about. So our quarterly memos, there is a section for that, for staff to give that. All of those memos are linked in your packet from the 4.2 meeting, I believe?
Yeah.
Yep, so all that's in there. So in our July quarterly updates, every department will be coming to present, they all have 25 minutes. So that is gonna be budgetarily focused, but it's also hitting those goals and a chance to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing, so if you wanted
And
to,
monthly manager report.
and the monthly manager report.
There's a lot of buildings.
Yep, exactly. So those are the three formal / informal mechanisms we have built in.
Okay.
And if that's not feeding you like the most delicious food you've ever tasted, and you wanna taste something else, let us know so we can help create that pathway.
I guess what I was trying to get at is that it's kind of that presentation was wonderful in that it felt like it was done through a filter of what we care about, what we are bringing to the table, or what we're bringing to the building as priorities. And I appreciate all the information we're getting. It also feels like an opportunity though to like kind of lobby back to us is what I'm offering, is that what about yes, those are our priorities, but does staff feel like there's enough room to say back to us, yes, that's cool that you care about that. We really care about this, and if we focus on that, it will distract us from this. I don't know,
Thank you for that space to say that.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting push and pull that departments are always gonna have. And again, I spoke a little bit about the budget book and goals. I think there should be a little bit of play between departmental goals, because they know what's important, they know what's relevant in their content area. But I do also think it needs to connect to the larger priorities as well.
Yeah.
So that's where that play is in that conversation. I do like this idea of like departments 201 after we did departments 101. So what I think that we could kind of build that into the prompt of the July ones that we have built out, so that's in about 2 months, if that feels good to all of you.
I see their values coming forward in budget requests.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I see it.
Yeah.
They come forward with what they wanna do, where they wanna spend money on, where they want new money on, like that $260,000 from TED for economic development for the airport. That was a capital request from Adam and CPD. We had to lobby the BOCC to get that money.
Yeah.
So I think a budget is like a values document at the end of the day, and so I think a lot of what you see come before you every 2 weeks of contracts, approved budgeted contracts, that is their values, that is what they want to do. And sometimes it aligns and sometimes it didn't. It's very nice that you all prioritize the airport. A lot of our staff is prioritizing developing the airport and surrounding areas, so, I don't know.
Yeah,
To me, that's where I see a lot of
That's awesome. If it feels built into the budget conversation and especially as we develop the budget conversation, then that's awesome. I just don't want it to be. I'm feeling some like nervousness that like a whole new board steps in or every time new people get elected, then all of a sudden all these departments, like we see it at a national level, we see it at a state level, they all just get pulled in these new directions. And I don't think that's good for like stability, sustainability, like staff morale, so I just wanna be cognizant, and if you feel like that's already built in, then awesome.
I think that's the center of the hourglass, you know, like it's kinda, when we got in here, Tim got us up to speed on what were things that needed attention, and what, you know, what didn't, where are we needing to improve, where are we slacking? And so I think the county manager and deputy manager are that stability that
Yes.
the board is not. We're just the.
I totally agree,
It is, yeah. I mean, if the bitch and moan crowd get their way, I won't even be here in 2 years, so.
They don't even know what they want, don't worry about it.
All 10 of them?
God bless their hearts.
Good luck to them. Okay, so are the goals of this part of the conversation to make sure that you all get feedback about how that went?
yes, and so one, I'm super stoked to be able to go back to project groups and be like, it was heard, it was recognized, and it was appreciated, so thank you to all your work, the BOCC sees it, and that's just a really good place to start. So some of these, I'm gonna take a picture of this, and some of the nuance that has emerged, I'm gonna add it to my primary sheet, just so it's kind of being tracked. And we can use this as a tool to check in, hopefully, each time we do this, so we're gonna have that continuous feedback loop, and also a touch point to be like, oh yeah, I did talk about that, and I'm interested in it.
Okay, I'm late.
Do it.
The stuff that's on my radar and you guys both have it on as well, I think, but.
While you're writing up there, I do think you see staff, especially directors, they've done a big pivot to work in groups and teams. It's not easy to do. It's easier to just like own a project, I'm done, I'm gonna work in how I work, instead of bringing other people in. So congratulate them to like, especially CPD, they're involved in basically everything, so it's public works, which means they have a lot more meetings. They have to be a part of all these conversations, it slows down their work, but they've done a really great job of being better team players, so you see it, they're like, oh, we should give them a thank you, so.
That one seemed like the hardest one to rainbow.
Wow, did I spell that right, Elsa?
DISC. DISC.
Dissecting.
DISCE.
Checking. Yeah, I think that's good. Think we do.
Like discerning,
Yeah, like
No,
discography.
it's an S.
it is?
Is it DISS? Girl, I don't know. Google. Could you turn pool into aquatic center, just so that I'm.
No, cause it's
No,
not
I'm
about
not.
people, it's about that building itself. I wanna know why we think in this building, it's not worth saving, why they've paid for studies that say it is, and there's this like serious disconnect between who spends and what we've been.
Yeah, the staff is working on that. Staff's working on that. I'm saying up on mine.
Oh,
I have pool at the top one. I would rather it say aquatic center,
Okay,
please.
sorry, I misheard that.
No, it's okay. You can write whatever you want on yours. Thank you.
I wanna go a little official.
It is DISSEMINATING.
It would be helpful for staff either between the OLC presentation and this June 10th presentation. A pool is a lot of money, tens of millions of dollars. If you wanna do that, then so many of these other things come off the table. So it would be helpful for staff to know, like, is that beyond a new build or saving LCIS pool? Is that really where your priorities are at? Cause that takes a lot of other things off the board, where we're gonna be like, no.
Bandwidth wise,
Well, it would take a tax increase, sales tax, or some dedicated funding, which we got to go to voters. I don't see that passing.
And if we run that, and we can't run anything else,
Yeah.
like a sales tax for paving or lodging tax increase or fire
no
district.
vacancy tax.
Yeah, I look at I see on there pool, but yeah, I mean, 2 gyms, we have at least 2 gyms. 6th Street Gym, the gym at the middle school, all of it's redundant. Except for the weight room. There's a weight room right here. Kevin King has a weight room. I don't even know why the study was done. And I asked Sarah at the time, like, why are you doing a study? And she said, sometimes we have to do a study to figure out what we don't want. So I don't see it going anywhere. It seems like a wheel spin.
We can't afford so much right now. I mean, I love it, I want it, I wanna have that exciting feeling that I get when I walk into Frisco's, or Silverthorne's Aquatic Center, and they have
Yeah,
crazy play things everywhere, but
kids going down slides, and those are great, but if we took that off the table, maybe we could focus on the intermediate schools. Something has to be done with it. Can't just sit there and collapse. That's a big problem.
That's it, it's on my things I'm doing, not things that I want, not things that I want.
yeah,
I'm participating in that conversation
Yeah.
for all of those nuances.
so,
I'm not saying that like, my number one priority is there.
yeah, it'd be a
Let's
lot there,
get it.
or,
Definitely not. I'm sorry, I was saying what I've been participating in.
Yeah.
Is
So-
how I informed that list.
can we make sure that's clear to staff, I guess, is that these aren't like things we are instantly 1,000% behind, it's more of like warrants further discussion, check-ins, brainstorming ideas, all these brilliant people in this building could help us team collectively decide, are these things good ideas, are they bad ideas, is it?
Who's really pushing that new rec center? Is it a group or a person or the last board or
Nobody's
just a-
pushing that.
somebody floated the idea and would we spend 80,000 on it or? on
Was
the
it
study?
grant, 50 grant with DOLA, I don't know, our contribution, I think we might have been around 100,000, somewhere around there. It originally started with both the senior center, cause that is somewhat in shambles, the library is out of space, what else, childcare, because Bright Start needs a new home, in addition to a pool
LCIS is not
recreation.
available in that way. To be super clear,
Can't be everything.
it cannot, the school district still needs LCIS. So that's part of these conversations, it's not like this
I-
group wants a rec center, this group wants to abandon LCIS, this it's the whole, y'all are welcome to come to these meetings, but they're not, nobody is leaving anything on the table, nobody is like ignoring all of the different resources and constraints that we have, it's a really smart table. It's Ben Karen's, it's Kate Bartlett, it's Lauren Barrett, it's Cisco, it's Lori and Lauren. It's a really smart group. I'm trying to think about the whole idea. I'm just saying, LCIS is not just like we can solve all of these things at LCIS. That is not an option.
So this table, if we could take the new rec center off that table, is that part of the discussions, or just the LCRS?
This group is looking at, hey, what does the community need? What does the community want? What are our current resources? How can we accomplish those needs and wants? And is like a new build the right choice? Are different spending opportunities the right choice? Is renovation of LCIS in pieces the right choice? They're looking at the whole thing before they even bring it to the decision makers. We're trying to have an informed discussion first, before any of us have to make any decisions. So they're trying to be our advisory board to help us with this discussion. Is mine?
So the question
You're
is,
saying that, right?
if the rec center isn't a priority to us, do we even need to talk about that? I just don't see it passing, I don't,
No,
to me, it's a really, really expensive dream that a lot of communities have done, like Moab has an awesome one, Silverthorne. That's great, but it's not something I would pursue personally.
Well, the work session in June will help us all have that conversation in a public way. But at least let this group
Do the due diligence.
do the and some of the due diligence is honestly just coming together and discussing the various resources that different entities have. And I think that work alone is really valuable, because it's the school district saying like, hey, yes, we have this, you can use it, but we don't have money to help you, and we need to use it in these ways. It's also Lauren Barrett coming from the city and saying, hey, I've done all this research about where the community's at right now, and what our current resources are. So she's bringing that to the table. So it's and then the county is bringing the pros department to the table and this rec feasibility study. So everybody's kind of laying all their cards out, and then PB Swims is coming with their aggressive agenda. So everybody's laying their cards on the table and saying, okay, can we move forward as a group? Can we do it? And if we do, what direction are we gonna advocate in? So I think it seems it's valuable conversations that are happening, not just like, oh, the county doing this rec idea and PB Swims moving forward with this, and the school district being like, oh my god, can you buy this from us? It's more of a conversation.
That would have been helpful before the last ballot measure passed.
No kidding.
Yes.
They were asked,
We would be in a much, much stronger position if the wording was different and it was a countywide effort.
they can't like amend that after the fact, can they?
You have to go back to the voters.
yeah. I think I'll have to go.
It's probably gonna go back to the voters in some way, shape or form at some point to serve the best purpose it should, right?
It will cover the operation of an aquatic center, it will not cover the construction or renovation of any building.
They can't
It's
do
not
the
enough.
renovation.
It cannot do capital.
Nor is it
Period.
enough money to
Only for
pay for a
homeowners.
bond. It's just not enough
That's-
money.
Ooh,
They had the momentum too, and I'm afraid if they take it back to the voters, people could be like, geez, I'm time buying groceries right
I
now.
think we all understand what it's like to make a misstep or a mistake. If they were honest about it and owned it, like, hey, we didn't word this right, you know, we'd like to use this to have the option of funding or renovating, whichever. There's just, yeah, there's so much information there that I guess I'm curious to learn more about, so we can get on some more of these discussions so I can disseminate the information that is out there about it, because there's so many different angles.
Okay,
Just because you're all three here, on Monday, we have another meeting with MWL, Jay McLaren and Pauline Pineda on the courthouse renovation. So we'd like to start joining as a representative of the board. I don't think that needs to be like a formal appointment, so we can just start doing it.
No, and I think in the past, Jeff Fiedler had kind of served in that role as well, so probably good to maybe have somebody who knows something about construction involved with it.
I think Elsa and I'd like to share that responsibility. My wife is having knee surgery next Monday.
I can go on Monday, we can trade off.
Okay.
Or can we can just both go when
We
we
just both
can,
did,
right?
yeah. Did we post it? What's that?
Sorry, I was just.
Yeah, we'll just
Just
post,
as long as you
we'll
post
post
it, yeah,
it.
you can do what you guys do.
No?
Wouldn't recommend posting it, if I'm honest. It's more like a project management, we're checking in about like, I would ask that it not be a publicly posted meeting, and that you all can just coordinate about who
Who's going?
comes out and what we
That sounds good. Just share everything you see on Monday and then I'll go the next time. We'll just,
Do it with your selfie stick and then watch them later.
Sounds great. That sounds fine though.
okay, great, thank you.
Real quick too, also kind of on the subject, the school district, the city, and Warren. Not you.
Oh, Barry.
Yeah, they kind of settled on June 10th at 6 p.m. for the joint work session. Just wanted to make sure you guys are all good with that.
As long as I can attend virtually.
Yes.
June 10th for what is this? I'm sorry.
At 6 p.m. It's for the various
School
school and
discussion.
recreation plan presentations.
Okay,
So it's with the school district, the city, it'll be during the city's work session, so.
okay.
June 10th.
June
June
10th at
10th.
6 p.m. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Lauren, I
gone?
have it on my schedule that tomorrow
Through
is,
the 20,
or no, Thursday is a
3 weeks.
walkthrough availability for architects of record. People applying to be architect of record, they can do a walkthrough on Thursday for the renovation.
Let me double check the RFP.
I wrote it down from the renovation meeting.
Oh, the 24th.
Yeah,
Yes.
do you think anybody?
No, it's not even posted yet.
Okay, nobody's gonna show up to that. Cool, I'll take that off my calendar.
Yeah. So it's hitting up today.
Yeah, I sent it to you and Liz, and I copied Chris on it. I cleaned it up the best I could, and then I was able to just link that
Yeah,
to the
and that-
document, so
yeah,
in that appropriate
It looks
place.
fine, yeah.
I don't know why, but I've been housing jelly beans today. I was never partaking of sweets so much, but
Look, you gotta eat intuitively, if you need it, you need it.
health food,
Your
mental
body,
health food.
your body needs it today. Did this conversation get people's needs met for?
I mean, it
what we wanted
was
to be?
about priorities and we talked about stuff. Priorities was,
Cool, cool.
it was on the agenda for an hour.
I learned a lot.
Me too.
That's why I'm not suffering the effects of the directed energy weapons anymore.
What are you gonna shuffle in the flannel shirts to?
It's, this is like just obvious, I don't know. Alright.
Okay, next agenda item.
Next on the agenda is.
Special events permits.
Ooh, we don't have anything to do with boom days, do we?
Yes,
What?
public health,
Oh.
and they're special events building. So in that facet, yes.
I would like to get together with someone at the city about that, because I have serious poo-pooing to do on the LHVs in the parade.
What's that?
The little kids on the little bikes.
Dude, no, were you there last year when it was like all the teenagers on four-wheelers trying to be like urban wheelie crew
I
and like
know.
almost running everyone over on the side of the street? Every parent grabbed their child and was like, it was like terrifying, dude. None of them had registered bikes, none of their exhaust systems would pass 98 decibel limits.
Who's, is that a group or just?
It's like trying to emulate that like urban dirt biking wheelie scene.
Oh,
Not a single helmet, I was like, this is just a bad look, man.
no helmets.
Maybe less than 10% of them had helmets on, but it was not like the OHV community, it was like
Sorry.
a bunch of people out there looking
looking
really bad,
Yeah.
who were basically the only thing there to represent that, you know? And I had serious problems with it, a lot of parents did, a lot of people felt extremely unsafe having, and I've got an eye for it, man, there was a lot of close calls on the edges of that road while those dudes were trying to do wheelies and stuff in front of the crowds, and it was like, this is a recipe for disaster.
Parade encroachment in general is pretty wild.
Yeah,
Same with the parade of lights, it's dark,
yeah.
like children were they just get closer and closer,
Mhm.
and then, yeah, the city like says you can't throw candy, but then people do.
It's just, I watched the whole vibe of the parade just drop at that, like, it wasn't,
I'm sorry, you're bringing me down. We took first place in the parade, so I don't really know.
and you probably didn't see it.
You're right.
You were in the parade, and they were like towards almost the very end. And they were just zipping around in circles, moving and moving and moving, and it was mostly, I'd say like a 50-50 mix of racing four-wheelers and sport quads and helmet, yeah.
I have 2 sport quads.
Yeah.
Right here, right here.
That was good. That was great.
I'm just,
See, if you do this, it ruins all the animations.
oh, sorry, I'll let you do
You're gonna
it.
have
Can
to.
you just switch to viewing and then,
I'll let Liz do the animations. I need to take that thing.
okay, so that's good, so Boo-Boo's different conversation, different people.
So we do have a couple of special permits coming up, and some of them are requesting alcohol at county facilities. So I'll be pretty brief, but I just kind of want to talk to you about what you all think about this. Because in fact, at your next meeting, you will be deciding if some agenda items go on there or not. So, we have this really cool human, and they're like, hey, I want a special events permit. And it's pretty easy there, because they have to decide if it's the city, and so they'll get permitted in the city, so like Boom Days, or if they're doing permitting in the county, so anything that's unincorporated. From there, it's pretty straightforward. With both sides, you ask for permission from whoever the landowner is, you complete your application, and then you get this really cool permit that you get to hang up. But it gets a little bit more complicated with permission if the county is the landholder. If the county is the landholder, then they need a board letter approving use of that, or they need to do the facilities use agreement, or both. And if you are allowing alcohol at county facilities. See, wasn't that more fun that way?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Like within city limits but on county property?
Yeah.
Thank you for asking. So next week, you are going to have a, one, I have put the letter of approval, and 2, the special event liquor permit. So the All for Fun Mile High HI Jeep Club wants to hold a special event at the Half Moon Gravel Pit for the service of alcohol. So that's in the county. So one, they have to do a special use permit with CPD, which was approved by the past board because of timelines. But then you will have to decide whether you want to get permission for that group to have alcohol on county property. Straightforward, right? Race series, courthouse lawn, that's a city permit up here, but they have to ask permission from the county, and you have to do a board letter of approval at a facilities use agreement.
Yeah.
So it gets kind of mucky, I think, when it's city permitting and county permission, and sometimes that has not happened.
Oh, you get half of it? You
So-
don't get the alcohol permission?
So far, no one has asked me or the board for permission to use the courthouse lawn. nor Dutch Henry, but I went ahead and drafted those letters. I do think it would be a nice formality. Hey, even though we've done this historically, we're gonna go ahead and put in a permit with the state for a liquor license for your facilities. Are you okay with drafting a letter again this year? I don't know, just be nice. So I chatted with Fee and Karen yesterday. These are the facilities that the county owns that are listed on the facilities use agreement. And I wanted their kind of input on what facilities, they're like, yeah, alcohol could be served there, or like, nah, we should not let people serve alcohol pending all of their permits at the shooting range. So you'll see this list here. I think the common themes are like just good choices of why we probably, of why they're suggesting you all should not provide permission for the service of alcohol. Andy?
So interesting.
Oh, this seems like a
Well, not that I think it's a good idea, but I'm just looking for locations that I don't see up there, and I'm like, well,
like what?
what is the skate park?
So the skate park, I may have missed that one or two, I just didn't put it on there.
Sure.
So any of kind of like the recreation facilities that have a use function or some sort of vehicle that's either human or motor powered, Rec was probably, Fee and Karen were like, probably not. Any parks that were simply child focused, like the Kiddie Corral or the Stringtown Park, they said probably not. So that was kind of their philosophy, but on the other side, these are places that historically the BOCC has offered permission for the service of alcohol pending all permitting, and those are places they're like, yeah, okay. And so the skate park may not be on the facilities use agreement, and that's where I got all of these locations. And they do recognize that their facilities use agreement does need to be updated.
They specifically said no to 6th Street Gym when I asked them 2 months ago.
Okay, so I talked to them a whole bunch about it, and now these are the specific places that are gonna be upcoming for you all to make decisions of whether alcohol can be served. So Courthouse Lawn will be the Leadville 100, Dutch Henry will be the stage race, Silver Rush and stage race. Half Moon Gravel Pit is the Mile High Jeep Club I spoke of. The rodeo arena will be the Broken Arrows Rodeo, and then the 6th Street Gym is for a pride activity. But again, you as the BOCC are the land owners for this, so you will have to give the permission for it.
Sweet. Is the senior center having another DJ party?
So the curling has used the year before last, when they had the tournament at like night and people showed up in cool shoes, they used the senior center basement as a distributing area for adult beverages.
I haven't been to any of the extracurriculars.
So
Anything outside the league matches.
What's the point, why not just say like, yes to everything, and then it comes in front of us anyway, and then we make decisions, can't we just make decisions, like, we have to do this work anyway, I'm just wondering what's the thought?
So
No judgment, I'm honestly just wondering,
No.
okay.
I don't wanna open a can of worms, but I would say that special use permits between facilities use agreement managed by Felicia in the pros department, special use permits managed by Marla in CPD, and special use permits with alcohol managed by operations. It is pretty disconnected and clunky, and so we need a better system to connect those three different pieces, and it's recognized, like, what if we had one application portal that ruled them all? And I know it's wild talk, there's things that are more important to me as a priority right now, so good enough is good enough. I think it's really hard because Parks and Recreation, the pros department had really strong feelings of like, absolutely no alcohol at Hayden Meadows, it's too far away from town, we don't want to,
Have to pull anyone out of the river?
yeah, but
Clean up, yeah.
That's
So
biggest thing with a lot of these is the cleanup and the risk of if they have alcoholic beverages in glass
But that would,
containers and stuff.
that would be a CPD special use permit, disconnected from the rec facilities use permit, disconnected from my permit.
Right.
So these are just their recommendations. Some of these spaces I don't believe have been asked before in recent history. But you're absolutely right. Y'all can make the decision as they come up.
Here's the like operational question that comes up in my mind is that I hear you about the efficiencies of having so many different permitting departments, and that sounds horrendous. So if there, I don't know, I think like we're gonna have the same rules for any of these facilities and for any alcohol use cleanup, blah blah blah. So I was just like, why can't we just make it across, either you can provide the necessary, either you can fit the requirements of the permit or you can't. And it doesn't matter where that is.
So I don't think that it does.
Okay.
But
But we're not there yet.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is trying to go all the way in one go.
So
Cool.
once I close out some of my other projects, I wanna work on that. So this is just kind of your framework as you go forward. This is my handy dandy letter that I already have drafted for all of these. This is what goes to the Department of Revenue because that's your big permitter, just like a liquor licensing. And then we're the little baby permitter, but y'all sitting as the local liquor licensing authority must sign that application before it goes to the big department in the cloud.
Isn't there usually 2 levels and like most of the time it's just malt and Vinous? And
Vinous?
Vinous?
Venus?
Whatever.
So there's 3 different,
And I mean, isn't there usually like a extra level of scrutiny for spirituous?
well, that would be up to you, because on the Department of Revenue, it's 3 different checkboxes based on those 3 different levels. And so in the permitting, that's that level of scrutiny, the things that you say. Like, hey, we're gonna give you this permit for this event, but for example, with the rodeo last year, the criteria was set that we want tips certified servers only serving the alcohol. We want to see X amount of recycling facilities and we want to have a mechanism to limit the amount of beers you can sell to one person. And so that's in your local permitting through CPD, even though this is a separate permit. So my plan is to have the letter for alcohol approval, as well as the permit on consent agendas, with a descriptor of like, hey, this is just your letter as the landowner giving permission, and then this is you as the local licensing authority giving permission. I'm going to list the organization, the activity, the dates, and the flavor of whether it's malt, Venus, or spiritus. So does that feel good to you all, or do you want something else? And it's the same thing that pops up year over year over year. There's maybe like 5 of these.
Sounds good to me,
I do too.
I think we need to reinvent the wheel.
Oh, I'm actually gonna reinvent the wheel in a couple months, so.
I like that.
Cool.
Consent agenda,
Great,
streamline, Liz,
I'm working
go
on it.
forth and prosper.
Cool, I just wanted to give you all a heads up so you knew those things, and I'll have all of those letters ready for Andy to sign.
Thank you.
Great,
So,
I'm done here. In the spirit of officiousness.
spiritus.
Eh. It's really funny though, when
I
y'all
heard
say
that.
Venus, and it sounds different.
It was on a vine, so it's like,
That's right.
Yeah,
but vino.
wine, Spanish, Italian.
I just thought of people at a Jeep event being able to get double tall whiskey gingers, like,
But that's all criteria
yeah,
that y'all can set.
that we can,
We can always take it off of a consent agenda, if we're like, no, we gotta talk about that one more.
think the last one was a, had to be
Yeah, I
at that
asked for
time, right?
3 minutes.
Okay,
Is that it, Liz?
Early, but we don't see Jackie till 3:30,
Oh, God,
and Michael Yerman.
what are we gonna do? Maybe we could call her.
I don't know if Michael's ready either.
3:30?
Yeah.
Should we pause for a moment?
Yeah.
Can we ask, I
Ask
just
them if
ask,
they're
no pressure.
to come, yeah, if they're
I don't wanna be
available early.
a whiny baby about it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, that would be good, yeah. My eyeballs are so dried out right now, like,
We gotta change the lighting here. I talked to the eye doctor and it's the lighting.
that's what it is now.
We're both
All
having
this
trouble with our
fluorescent stuff,
eyes.
yeah, me too.
So I can't help with the lighting, but we are actually working on sound in here. Sebastian's bachelor is like in sound engineering with a focus on like non-music music. It's the opera.
Non-music music.
It's
like
like
Is the
bird
sound the
calls?
problem?
no, it's like trash cans slamming together. Yeah.
Like the sound of people playing hockey,
Yeah.
I love that.
So he's been measuring sound in here and pending approval by the admin group, I wanna apply for a SIPA grant, the State Internet Portal Authority. They're in their micro grant season right now and they'll give you technology grants to increase access for the people that you serve. And so I think having better sound in here and sound mitigation would do that.
The only portal I'm concerned with
thank
room is a window that we can jump out of if there's a fire or a gunman.
No, we should just shut the door.
How do we make this safer for people who need to breathe?
Yeah.
Could that
Well,
grant go towards a window?
Directed
For
energy
breathing?
weapons, you get a brain tumor.
The
You make a
anthrax.
tinfoil hat,
I literally am about to,
seriously.
kid you not. That would look awesome on the YouTube videos.
So what do you think's wrong with the sound in here?
Okay, so Sebastian brought in those giant speakers, he brought sound testing tools, he showed me a bunch of waves and explained to me what they were. Clearly I processed all of it, but he says it's this corner, he says this corner makes this room bad, and then I asked him to make me 3 different options for how to treat this corner.
Bad
You know,
corner,
really
bad corner.
And
Treat
he
it
was
with
like, "Do you think
kindness."
people don't wanna sit in the corner and we can just put a bass drum there?" And I was like, no, people wanna sit in the corner.
We cannot eliminate any seats.
You know who
they're gonna
really
be
needs help
Then I'm not
is
gonna pause it.
CPDC,
CPD.
Roll.
that thing's horrible.
Let the chit chat roll.
That's like a torture chamber.
It seems like they have an old window.
Oh my gosh.
Do you see that
Yeah, they
behind
made
the
some last night.
Oh, it
whiteboard?
goes right to the boiler. Boiler's right behind that, isn't it?
I thought the boiler was to the left.
So when you're sitting at the table, boiler's to, when I'm sitting, yeah.
When you walk in the door.
Yeah, boiler's straight ahead.
Is it? I thought it was to the right.
So we can't run
The
the
right is the
curtain,
hallway
just put
that
it in the
goes
curtain.
back to
Is the
That's
assessment.
evidence.
Oh, it's going
Yeah,
down?
boiler.
Oh, you're serious.
Oh, we're serious?
So what is that cut up for?
Yeah, we are in fact
Is
serious.
that the same thing as the curtain?
Used to be,
It's
Like,
in
it's a-
well, in his, I was saying his has been wet, so he's.
Mike told me, we talked about all of it, what it used to be, but
Oh,
I was just down there with Dan, yeah, I guess we all were, right? I was one-on-ones down there and it was like,
I wonder if we could
Torture.
put in like a
Sort of torture.
lamp, a barrier, moisture
I
barrier.
did- I did have concerns about how they have to spend lots of time in that room.
Well, no, I'm not talking about taking it up,
It's
I'm talking
easy
about
to
laying
treat.
some of
I
it.
love
Really
over
is.
top of it. Yeah.
Like do a barrier,
If I have
a
time,
moisture
I'd
barrier or
make some.
something, and then
I
put
need to
those,
make
because
something for my
limited,
office.
you put a
If I could have the
It
fabric
is stuck
and the
down here, just
insulation.
like a plastic.
Seven
that
at
seal
time.
it. You put
I'm gonna start with our solar solution footage. But I don't want you to use that phone. I don't want you to need my phone.
I heard you singing the other day, it was pretty good.
But other than that, my office is okay.
You got a fridge?
Yeah. Room, if you don't have a heater that doesn't turn off. I think you guys got cush.
Yeah, I would say get the short end of the deal,
Well,
especially considering
what
the
did you-
times.
Where?
I've got a couple things in there that I'd like to cancel, but
This is number 3.
You should be able to cancel it because your editor.
I also have the best looking office, let's be honest,
Oh,
guys,
yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
no-
get that.
sometimes
That's
it's
looking, that's
That's
smelling.
Best really,
That's
me.
fine.
The event.
most living things
Right.
in one.
Is that?
It's true, yeah, there's more, less air, I'm guessing that's air quality
And you're saying?
for those living things.
Like, do you need red?
When my window's open, it's open all the way.
What time are you doing Glenwood?
Early.
Like, what's early?
Like a very
6:30?
I was gonna going at 7.
This is untenable, I don't know how we're gonna do this honestly. 4 rolls with heat in this room.
Well, the heat won't be on
Why
this
could
summer,
I was
right?
in the
It should be off now.
Yeah,
Well, I'm making a joke.
I don't know,
Justin
Justin
has
has
pretty
fun.
good jokes.
Could be away from that.
There is, we just need a
You're
water
going straight to
fed
the Colorado Hotel?
stone salt,
Yeah,
right?
I'm
It's got a pull
the
start on it,
mention-
little
Where everybody's
hose
mentioning,
hook up to
I
it.
thought it was at the
Less
Colorado
than
Hotel,
30
which is
square
where the
feet.
Civic is.
It doesn't matter if it has asbestos
yes,
in it, we can just do it.
Oh.
Really?
Okay, can we,
They
could
have
we,
Read that.
stuff on Wednesday
Yeah.
starting.
could we honestly, like, just do a little investigation?
I'm gonna go see Megan.
Why don't we just take these pictures and things down and just pop off those
6.
boards and see what's behind it, so we have more information.
I'm sure it's brick.
It's an
I'm
hour
sure
and
it's
45
brick.
minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure it's brick too.
Okay, is it structural
But we
though, is
Minutes, but.
we need like an architectural engineer to tell us that we are
So we
allowed
just
to
have a
pull.
mason. Yeah, we have a mason coming,
Um,
and we could do some laser,
That's fine.
we could do some, you know,
No,
some
that's
laser
right.
measurement to see how thick the brick
In
is.
between here and there?
I'll park in the northern part.
Mason
Okay.
drill bit, go right through it.
6:30.
That too.
Might be electric, that
Are you getting
thing, be venting, cause that thing goes
I'll go pick up the car at
Are
6:30
Are
and
we
then I'll
above the
come over
boiler?
here.
Excellent.
Boilers
What if I live
It's
in Glenwood
underneath
now?
that
way
way.
back there.
over there, like under trees,
You know, I'm just kidding.
under over here actually.
I think
Sure.
this is just a decorative architectural feature, this,
Yeah.
what would you call it, a pillar?
Well, and I also know we've got outside right there.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, this
Yeah,
sticks out, I think from about, probably about right there, that would be our safety door.
It doesn't step back that far.
You don't think it's that, it sticks out that much? Thought it was kinda on that seam right there.
Settle for a window.
All three.
Talk to Sarah, tell them, we want to see it.
Or we just rent saws from, we pull a permit from the county. We rent saws and do it ourselves and save taxpayers $1 billion.
Won't be the rest of the.
I'm sorry.
We did it.
So
So it's about for.
they might,
Really own
yeah, they might put a
What are we
lien
gonna
on our
do,
building.
sue ourselves?
They might put a lien on our building if we paid our fines.
What if we did it on a Saturday
Yeah.
and a Sunday and came down from there?
The real trick is just, I feel like the trick is gonna be the bind window.
I joined the
It's
fight.
gonna be harder to install.
We'll get a custom size now.
And I'm saying tricky is like, here we go,
Okay.
do a GoFundMe between the three of us to get that money, or just use our discretionary funds, buy a window.
I have a giant,
I
BOCC.
I've got.
Wait, what?
I've got black windows, white windows, I
It
have
just
a
is
giant
too
one
stretchy.
that's
Yeah.
green on the outside.
There's that key.
I got a bunch from, Bid Mountain has, not system, has this mandatory schedule that they gotta replace their windows with,
Yeah.
even if they're in perfect shape.
Yeah.
So I've got a stack of windows from those lodges
It'll,
in my
it'll
backyard
be
right now.
I'll buy them.
doesn't
They're really nice.
expect.
Short, long,
My car did it.
Yeah, I'll rent a saw.
so we have to do.
I'll do the work.
Just for the sake of sensitivity and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something.
It's not a major
Draft.
renovation, it's not a major renovation, so we wouldn't have to meet.
The other one.
True.
We got a plan.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for coming in early.
Yes, thank you.
That is amazing.
Michael, thank you, Jesse.
Oh, thanks for having us early.
Yeah, hopefully that's mutually beneficial. schedule adjustment.
What's up, bro?
Are we still recording?
Yeah, I don't think we.
Have we been recording the whole time? People are like, they're gonna take sledgehammers and gas-powered saws to the county building and do their own renovation?
They're gonna start navigating.
We literally just asked how much trouble we could get into if we didn't pull a permit.
Could've-
You did, I mean, we just.
I was recorded, Ann.
I've never had a beer.
And I was over here going ice fishing.
Yeah.
Zoom out, or actually that works.
Look, in 5 months, we're gonna be so happy, it's gonna be worth it
That other way.
when we do it.
Nope, you keep looking, there you go, nope, too far. Alright, why don't you go ahead?
Fantastic.
Then you gotta show it.
Should I officially announce agenda item number 4, presentation and discussion regarding a contract with Solution Builders
Crunch.
for the housing at 10-2 project?
No, so go ahead, Jack, you go ahead,
Oh, good.
Is it that one?
yeah, that's it.
That's the one? Okay.
Okay, so thank you for, that's awesome, I don't know why I came over. So thank you for allowing us to have this time with you today. We want to give you an update on the project. It's a very uncomfortable update. We got final pricing this morning on the project. I want to start out by saying that we have been so impressed with Oakwood and their due diligence and diving into our project to help us sort things out after things were terminated with Adam Berger and his team in December. And also to let you know that Oakwood is presently on the ground in Nebraska right now at the factory, further negotiating pricing and trying to extend timelines. We had a hard deadline of May 1st for pricing going up, and they've managed to negotiate a July 1st date instead, so we're very excited about that. But what we want to talk about today is the pricing. So when we were talking to Adam Berger, the pricing was significantly different, and unfortunately, those pricing numbers that he gave us are not achievable. And it's very demoralizing for as much work as this project has been, and as much interest as we have currently. Right now, we have 197 people who have expressed who've clicked to get more information on the project. We have the 17 buyers in the queue. One of the units that Adam had presented was a 2-story, 1,700 square foot home. We had to eliminate that entirely because the price point of that home came in at market rate. And so it was not something that we were gonna be able to build affordably for these buyers. I also printed out some market report information. There's 2 pages. This is from the title company, so it's, taken from sales that have been happening and current listings and kind of where the market is right now, just to give you an idea. So with the elimination of the Windsor unit, we've been working and want to have this work session to kind of try and figure out how to allocate pricing across the project. We also want to talk to you about Prop 123 and gap funding. So we initially talked to the previous board about Prop 123 gap funding last year, and we intended on applying for that. I think it was in December that we were thinking about applying. And
We did submit that one.
we submitted our letter of intent to apply for that funding, and we had our pre-application meeting with DOH, and they looked at our price points, which were not realistic and not correct, and said that we would not be eligible for that funding. And so we did not pursue it any further. Then we had our lottery to try and keep interest in the project. We have the 17 qualified buyers in the lottery, and we recognized that there was a huge difference in what they could afford and, what that ended up translating to as part of their income. So we have a lot of our buyers are single-family households, and so we have, local employees. And it was ending up being about 48% of their income, not what's considered affordable at 35, which is the new affordable. It used to be 30% of their income. And now, of course, with the new pricing, it's even higher than that. So we talked with DOH yesterday, trying to figure out, we had submitted a letter of intent because they encouraged us to, after having this conversation, they said, go ahead and reapply, given the fact that these are not affordable. And there's so much subsidy going into the project to make them affordable, we definitely think that you should apply. So we had our pre-application meeting again yesterday, trying to go through everything and ask the question, can we ask for more? We had initially only asked for a $50,000 per door funding for our buyers that are under 100% AMI, so we're anticipating 14 of our buyers to be there. And they said, go ahead and apply for 70,000, which is the maximum amount. And now, just to give you an idea, as with everything that comes out of DOLA, it's overprescribed, so the letter of intents that they received is about 3 times what they have to give. It's a very onerous application process. They do it through a platform called Neighborly, and it's kind of horrible. And Michael is very gifted at this, at the spreadsheet work. It's really challenging.
You should have heard me screaming at my computer at 5 a.m. this morning. My whole neighborhood could hear me.
Yeah,
Cause like the state spreadsheet wouldn't equal this spreadsheet, so it's just like,
So he's,
no, it's fine.
But what we learned from the state is that a lot of people submit the letter of intent, but then they don't actually follow through with the application because it's so challenging. So our hope is that, by the time we get to the application May 1st, that we will, be among fewer people applying. The unfortunate thing is timing, right? We have a short building window, and we need to be able to order the boxes, we need to be able to set the boxes before winter comes, and we won't actually go under contract should we get awarded this funding until September. And so Oakwood's gonna need to order the homes by July 1st when the pricing, that has not yet gone up. So we're trying to figure out how to navigate all this. That new price on the funding for Prop 123 jumping from 700,000 to 980,000. So now I'm going to introduce Michael to talk to you about kind of what the timing looks like for our specific project. But I want to say we appreciate your support for everything thus far, and we've been so excited to work with Oakwood. They've been nothing but fantastic stepping into this project, and I am really frustrated as to where we are right now, because Adam's numbers were not realistic, and we didn't know that.
So I will apologize because this is like the least prepared I've ever come into a meeting, but I've been from 5 to noon today, been trying to get the numbers that Oakwood has been sending from the factory to this sheet today. So I closed my computer and saved it and I drove up here. So I apologize, but that's literally what they're there at the factory, like negotiating, like we do this for and we can save this money on the project. And I will just say, no matter what, I really appreciate the fact that the CEO got on an airplane and flew to Nebraska. That seemed pretty incredible. So what I also will say is that what's really frustrating is that the burger pricing that we got, Bonneville pricing didn't change. So there was a little dishonesty there, which really makes me upset because
Can you say that again? I didn't
the Bonneville price for the boxes is the same prices that he got.
Okay.
So when we get the price at $500, $500,000 for the 2-story product, he was bending his numbers again.
He told us 350 for that,
Who told you?
the previous developer.
So
So he was lying, or he was guessing, or?
I don't know, I mean, the unit box, so there's the box and their foundation costs are pretty comparable to where we thought they'd be. So I just, I say that because I want to put Oakwood here on a pedestal because, again, it's not because of like Oakwood's pricing, like there's an increase from Oakwood, right? That's just not the case, it was just because somehow the numbers weren't being done correctly.
The previous guys, Oakwood's numbers are still what we were expecting them to be?
No, Oakwood's numbers, the Bonnevilla has given the same pricing that they gave at for the box. So
So-
Bonnevilla, so it's a modular unit, right? So the price of the 15 by 70 box is gonna come on a semi truck, that price didn't change. So somebody wasn't telling us the real price when we went and did this. So to give you an example, we were at $297 for that Albert, it's now $333. And I separate this, so this is Oakwood's cost for each of the 3 units, right here. I separate out the contingency because the state requires us to put the contingency, which is fine. At this point of the way the world economy is going, a contingency is absolutely necessary. But it adds $13,000 to the total unit per unit. It's significant to that cost. The one thing about modular though is that 85% of your costs are fixed. So this price and the contingency need, unless the factory like they said on May 1st was number one, if they're gonna guarantee pricing, that contingency is less of a need. The other thing too is what I kind of get annoyed by on contingency, and I'll shut up and say one last thing, is the way I've always structured my contracts with developers is if they go into contingency, it's their profit, not a pot of money that they make money on if they come in under. But the way the state's funding requires is if they can deliver, they're gonna make an extra 13,000 a unit. So I don't know, I've fought the state tooth and nail on that one, but they don't listen to that, so that's fine. So you'll see here that these units, this is the price for anyone above 100% AMI, and then the proposed pricing was 70,000 a unit at for the Prop 123 award at 98. So you total out the revenue of sales at 7.6, and you add in the 98 that we could potentially get from the state, you're at 8.6. To Jackie's point, the thing that we've been really pounding on today is trying to get these numbers to where the 80 to 90% buyers can afford, and what your sheet tells you today is that 266 is really the target price. So even with the 70,000, we're 10,000 over budget on the Alberts.
On 14 ounces, or all 24.
Well, these houses are 100% above. I
Okay.
do have the interest rate at 7.5% on this, but interest rates went up 2 points yesterday, or 2/10 of a point yesterday. We're at 6.9 today. So, and given the trajectory right now, I don't wanna get into politics, but I'm sick to my stomach. So this is again, the only other thing that Jackie and I discussed today is we have 2 hopes separated out. Those are the two bedroom units on 6th Street. The thing that I think we're gonna play with is actually just keeping, because they're the larger 2 bedrooms, is just making both hopes above 100% AMI and discounting 2 more Shermans, so that the hopes, we don't have one person living next to another person that paid, a difference of 70 grand. So, I think that's the final adjustment I would make to these numbers, which will change slightly. What changes this Sherman price up here. I'm hoping to get about 5,000 to 6,000 off of that, 360.
And when are we hoping to hear back from the state about Prop 123?
So the application, so that's a good question. So we would have to submit for Prop 123 on May 1st. So we have a special meeting on Monday scheduled, and I think what we're looking for, honestly, what we're looking for is one of two directions from the board, is to whether to delay the project until next year or to pursue it this year with a submittal for May 1st on the Prop 123. The issue is that to get to ordering boxes and doing a second lottery, Oakwood has to order the boxes by July 1st.
Right.
And we won't have the state housing board won't even have met on our application until the first week of July. And so what we have to be able to do is enter into contracts with buyers and tell them, this is your purchase price.
Yeah.
And if we didn't get it, the county would be on the hook for the night.
Yeah.
Which is a huge, it makes me sick to my stomach to even recommend that. Cause I really struggle to recommend that. I don't actually recommend that. But the other thing is I just don't, I do see significant price increases on the horizon. So it's which, I don't know which ones we have, but so with Prop 123, we would submit, we would bring you guys on the first meeting in May, new lottery guidelines for the remaining units. We would start pre-qualifying buyers. While we're pre-qualifying buyers for lottery number 2, we'd be getting lottery 1 buyers under contract. And what Oakwood would wanna see is a pretty healthy lottery number 2 applicant pool, before they would order the boxes on July 1st.
Okay, and we're talking about 14, the difference is we have 50,000 per door for 14.
70.
Right now we have 50.
Nope.
Don't we? But we're asking for an extra 20?
So we submitted a letter of intent, and our letter of intent stated that we were going to ask for 50.
Yeah.
So our conversation with them yesterday was, can we ask for 70 with
Right.
the maximum? And they said, everybody else does, yes, you can. So
Okay,
that's
so
what
we haven't been
Yes.
awarded anything.
Yeah.
Said yes to either.
Got it. Okay.
How-
So I was like, oh, $280,000, like that's not as nauseating.
No,
I
unfortunately.
see what you mean.
What's really frustrating is
Yeah.
when we brought Adam's numbers to them, I think them telling us not to apply was them saying there's no way that he's building this for that. I
Yeah,
wish
if
they.
you can get it for that, that's great, you don't need any gap funding, that's free, do it. And so of course, that's now what we're learning is those were not real numbers, those are not the numbers that Bonneville was saying they would sell the units for.
And I will say that in November when this all started to come to fruition, it was pretty obvious at that point that something really fishy was going on, because he wouldn't commit prior to the lottery to any pricing.
Sure. Regardless, so what we're gonna be talking about is almost $1 million.
So, it's more than $1 million, it's actually,
Oh.
it's 2.4.
Cool.
So, just to go through the whole budget.
Why?
Could I ask a couple of questions, because I'm pretty new to this
Sure.
project? So in terms of, we're saying the home price and the sell price, how are we planning to, and maybe we've discussed this, like I said, I'm new to the project. The tax services, and it sounds like maybe we have a grant for those, but for the footings, like how are we
Yeah,
covering all of those costs?
it's a great segue to what was done. So to date, the commitments that we've already made, water taps, we've already paid on sewer taps, Excel Energy, and the soil cleanup, we're at a little over 1. The additional funds in the contract, Oakwood wants a contingency of $650. The county would step in and purchase 2 units if buyers fall out. We still have, for the first 17 buyers, $500,000 of buy down funds, which actually gets us on a lot of our buyers to below the 266 number for our first round. And then we still have from the original grant budget, 472. What we still have though, that 472 makes up, again, this includes the 2 big numbers, But out of that 472, if you take out, sorry, I have them in here, but if you would take these two out, you would have out of that 472, it's about 400,000 in costs that we have, that we know we're gonna have to pay, to your point, to finish out the first infrastructure grant. So so this is basically today what we've already committed to basically for the Prop 123. And if we didn't get that, we'd be adding another 980,000 to that number, which is So the only other thing would be that, so that's option one. Option two is delaying the project until breaking ground next year. We could apply for the funding in August. They're anticipating having a second round. They would not, if we're not gonna break ground this year, they told us not to apply. Just out of respect to other applicants that are trying to move forward, but they said we could reapply in August. So we could get an award in the winter, know we have the funding, and not be risking $980,000 if we wanted to apply in August, but we're risking price increases, obviously.
Is that price increase, so is this the second 14, the first 10, or all 24?
They're gonna do all 24.
Okay, so the price increase, we could see 20-30% price increases over the course of the year, and what's the math on that? That's
Well, the
bigger than-
total project, I think, is $12 million.
okay, so then we're looking at, it's almost 6.5 dozen of the other, isn't it?
There's that risk. That risk if you wait, that you might not be saving, that you would be expending.
And if we go now and get the Prop 123, then we're good?
It's kind of,
Close,
it's
we're close.
you'd be providing gap funding between now and the potential award for Prop 123. Would that funding be replenished, if you will, through?
At what point did the Prop 123 stuff come into question? Like, I don't think I remember being told that we might not get this funding.
So we didn't talk to you, I don't think we had a lot of conversations with you about Prop 123 because we'd already had the pre-application meeting with the state. And they said, no, your pricing's too low, you're not going to qualify, your project's not going to qualify for the gap funding.
So
And so after we had the lottery,
we actually submitted an application in December. I went through this whole process with the state. We got to like the day, a week before the deadline to apply, and we went through our final checklist review with the state, and they said, your prices are too low. We won't recommend you move forward to the state housing board because your price points are not, well, we were at price points of, to put it into perspective, Adam was saying that this unit was gonna come at $240 for every buyer.
Yeah.
So,
Precious.
Jackie, can I ask you a question? Our housing contingency fund that's held with, within CPG, does that include the $500,000 subsidy for the, it does, I'm sure that didn't come from somewhere, an additional, I didn't think that was included in that, but it's not, looking at, I thought that was an after,
I think it was the money that we had, the money that, the total budget that we've been planning on from day one has been this number right here, this 1.6. So this is the leftover funds from the incentives grant because the county and the city both put in additional funds beyond the required match, and Jackie got $300,000 because of the we were able to use the land value in our incentives grant. So this has always been the.
yeah, but what I'm seeing right there, what I'm saying is
Yeah.
650 and 500, which is 1150, and I know our contingency housing fund is higher than that, but it's. Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah. So, I don't know, 1.5, so I'm just saying that the contingency that we have in there is higher than the 650 to 500.
Okay, so
So I can still check the funds, if you right now, I can still check it's like, get
Gotcha.
information. But I do think that the previous board approved a housing contingency fund at a higher amount.
Cause we were told that the 650 I thought had to be, it wasn't just the 2-unit purchase, it was in addition to.
There were 4 units in there, plus so I know it's higher than the other.
So that's good news.
Like we have money already budgeted.
The budget's, we already have money.
I think there's additional funds in there, the only, and the other, certainly, we are presumptuous of any, but there has certainly been a cost savings from the corner facility.
What are all the options right now? Like, we charge forward with this thing, hope that 1, 2, 3 goes through. If not, we're on the hook for 2.4. If we wait, we could see price increases on the product around 2-ish. And if we completely cancel everything, we've already sank 1.6, or can we not even do that because we're contractually obligated?
You sank this number so far.
We're 1,037,000 deep into it,
Yeah.
and
But
either
the-
other option,
So I wanna be real clear here, that number though, the land, that's in the land, that's physically in the land.
yeah,
So
So we've invested that into the land, not necessarily lost that money.
that's the one saving grace of this, is the way I do this stuff is we took out the horizontal risk first. And so regardless, you still have a land asset now.
Yeah.
Because when you add in that plus the land, you have a $2 million asset that's basically ready to go vertical. That isn't that, like, that's not money wasted.
would a private developer purchase those and be able to do something with them?
Well, what I would tell you is that, so option 1 is what you discussed, which is a $2.4 million option, right? If worst case scenario, you don't get Prop 1, 2, 3. Your second case scenario would be basically we would do one of two things. We would either you have duplex lots, so we could go back and see if we could value engineer the units. Oakwood could look to see if they could use their panels. We could bid it to a different, put back out the bid for a groundbreaking in 2026. And see if we could get a better price point.
To answer his question, one of the things I'd wanna look at is some of that infrastructure development was grant funded. And we made sure that we couldn't use the grant money and then turn around and sell it to a private developer.
Contractually obligated.
No, you are so I've got you. The answer to that is yes, the state, the property has to be used for housing on 140%
Yeah, affordable housing, so you couldn't sell it to somebody else to build something else on it. The other side to this too is one of the concerns I have is the folks that are pre-qualified now, the likelihood of them still being able to do that next year might be much lower. So we use our qualified buyers.
If we just use napkin math, $2.4 million is about $100,000 government subsidy per home. And right now, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath can't get for less than $500,000 on the market in Leadville. So even if we were trying to use like everyday housing stock to try to put the same subsidy in, if we don't get Prop 1, 2, 3, we couldn't even get it close to what our residents need, what the project is trying to accomplish. So just saying that's something I would consider is that we could not accomplish this price point, we could not accomplish getting people into these homes through the market, even if we were just using this money to try to subsidize the market. So just.
And they're new homes without all the issues of our current,
Yeah.
our older stock.
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
Yeah,
So the ultimate risk, so I'm continuing to get a little rain cloud here, but I'm just making sure you have all the facts so that you can make this. The real risk actually, where I'm at it on this as far as my risk meter.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about Oakwood delivering at this price point at all.
No.
Where the risk meter is for me is the community being able to actually, for us to sell all 24 homes. Because having leftover homes at the end of the build is the nuclear option, because you would lose the 650, Oakwood would have housing stock sitting here in Leadville that they don't wanna own, that they're having to be a renter on. So that's the actual real risk to me, is that you
Trying to
can't-
buy it from Oakwood.
is having, I always tell my clients, you never build spec affordable housing, like we're not speculative builders.
Yeah.
So,
Diminish the amount of interest that's in the community, your market demand,
well,
just a casual market demand,
Correct.
uninformed.
yeah, so to your point, Ann, so the risk there, that's the risk. We have 197 people who have signed up to be in lottery too. Well, minus the 17.
More information, and
Yeah.
I have an informal list of 450 people on a rental list who are interested in a rental property. So we have people in the market who need housing, and we had a very inadequate marketing effort, to get these 17 qualified buyers. Adam was in charge of that, and his lead person was in Honduras 2 weeks prior to the lottery happening, and we had incorrect floor plans, on the website. We didn't have pricing, it was awful. So Oakwood has a really substantial team that will help us with the marketing and help us with the outreach, so that we can take those 197 buyers and maybe some of those 450 rental, folks, and turn them into actual buyers.
Okay.
17 buyers were willing to go out on a limb with not being able to see a floor plan, not knowing the pricing. We're willing to go through the pre-qualification process, which we all know is a daunting process. Once you have housing vertical that's tangible, that's ready to go, that's on the market, and everything else in West Park is $600,000 and $700,000.
Yeah.
And you've got units on the ground built at this price point.
You're saying everything else right now in West Park is 600,000 and 700,000?
It's over 5.
It's over 5.
And new builds like in the rail yards that are under 1,000 square feet,
I thought
that are
it was
similar to that 2-bed, 2-bath, they're selling for almost 700,000. 2-bed, 2-bath in the rail yards.
Yeah, the median list price is, this is across the Leadville market, is $637.
Yeah. Okay, question. Cause just, I don't know anything. Could, let's say, Adam, to diminish the risk. No, Kyle, I'm sorry, I just used Adam Berger in my mind. Michael, I just had Adam
That's
in
fine.
my mind.
No worries.
We love
Don't call me Adam.
No, I'm sorry,
We love
sorry,
Michael.
Michael. Let's just say we can't find buyers, let's just say that it means all of a sudden we're on the hook for these last 7 homes, or 8 homes. Is there potential there that the county could own them and then the regional housing authority manage them as rentals to still stay under that 140, to still use them for?
So right now, what the way the contract would be structured would be that we would continue to market them,
Okay,
because Oakwood would take, so technically Oakwood isn't taking possession of the units, right? They're a contractor building the units. If there's no, as CO, if there's no buyer for 120 days, what they have requested is that they would basically take on the property but honor the restriction and continue to try to sell it.
Do that, or the other option is that we would have a certain rental period for that, and all the rent that the county would achieve by renting the units that hadn't sold yet would go to Oakwood to offset their expense of carrying the houses. Which I think is reasonable in terms of,
okay,
as a lawyer, you don't wanna have to carry that.
well, shoot,
And if you think about our secondary market, outside of our boundary, right? So folks living in Summit and Eagle County, these homes are gonna sell. I don't have the same concern, that they're not gonna sell, because I think that that's too exciting. Even though it's $100,000 more than we thought it would be, it's a great number.
Yeah.
For a brand new home.
yeah.
If we get the Prop 123 thing, then all this worry is we're not.
This project is nothing but work.
No, but to answer your question, 1.5 of this is actually, I don't, well, I do have it right here. So so you have 1.5, so the numbers, so this number right here is a contingency number, as well as in, this is a contingency basically, and then in the actual budget, they have 315, plus the state requires us to do an additional 150 with the county's money. So, yeah, this is a quick math, 115 plus 315, so we have a
430.
150 plus, so we have a 465 contingency for the project. And then you have the 600, so you have almost $1 million in contingency funds, as well as the potential for another $1 million from the state in grants. So $2 million of this in here is potentially, if the state funds come forward and they can perform at this price point, $2 million of that is really.
And 1.5 has already been earmarked within the 2025 budget. So that already exists.
Are there, when can we start having conversations with the state about how likely?
So we have had,
Okay.
I was on the phone with them at 5 o'clock, and I was on the phone with them at 6 a.m. this morning. So
No.
No, the state's heavily invested in this project. And I can promise you that we're putting forward our best foot. My wife's a grant writer, so I'm actually paying her on my own dime to look at the final product even, to like have a second set of eyes, just because I'm so nervous about it at this point. But, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that the application is going to be competitive. It's just a matter of how many other projects they've had. The other thing that I think will make us competitive is the fact that we're basically telling the state that we're breaking ground if we move forward. So, I mean, we have when we're presenting this stuff, because this funding, Prop 123 is, they call it gap funding. And we're literally showing them that we're breaking ground, we're moving forward, and here is our gap to get under 100%.
Well, us putting money forward beforehand hurt us at all? You know, like, oh, the county's already paying for it, why do you need these dollars at all?
So that was one of the questions, was whether we were able, because a lot of grants don't allow you to start doing work before it's awarded, and that's one question.
Yeah, this is true gap financing, and we will you can spend money beforehand. The only caveat is when you go for that 980, I still have to have 980 in costs to be reimbursed. So, which we would, so I'm not worried about that, because we'd have a contract in September, and it's in the middle of the project, so we'd be able to send an invoice right away to get 95% of it.
Could it also goad them into giving it to us, but it's like, oh, those Leadville folks, they're already moving forward, little ding dongs, we gotta save them.
Well, no, I think, I don't think it's just that we're moving forward, I mean, what makes you competitive is everything we've done. We already have all the horizontal in the ground, like a lot of projects don't even have their sewer lines done yet. So, they've come in for this funding, right? They're still, they put the whole cake together. We've separated layers of the cake out, so and again, like I said,
So feasibility and probability of the project weighs.
Okay.
I wish this was in the circumstance right now, I'm like.
So when I say what happens if we completely pump the brakes, you guys have that $1 million price tag that was grant funded, but we have to pay all that back if we.
No.
wanted to take full ownership of what we have there.
Yeah, I guess you could pay off the state for the land.
Like,
I think paying back the state on a grant is not something.
like we're on a train with no brakes right now.
No, we're in a Chinese finger trap.
Yeah, I think the Chinese finger trap is, you wanna push towards the state, not away from the state.
Cause we don't wanna ruin our
The
opportunities
money
going
was
forward for
given
funding.
to develop those two sites for affordable housing. And I don't know, I mean, respectfully, I don't know what else you would even, those sites aren't like, you're not gonna build something else on.
Yeah, I just, what's the worst case scenario in either thing, you know, it's like we on the hook for $1 million and then we have to figure out what to do with the land.
Well,
Or,
and the school district dedicated their land for affordable housing, so it's not the county's, it's not really the county's land.
but if we go forward with it right now and things don't shake out the way we want, then we've got an additional, we've already got 1.5 earmarked. We've got an additional $900,000 that wasn't budgeted.
Yeah.
It's the risk of, the risk is, the real risk again is the buyers. You have to, Oakwood needs enough buyers in the queue, and this is why doing the first lottery was so important. They want enough folks, they want to at least see 50% of these units sold, pre-sold, because they don't wanna be building housing and hoping that they have buyers. I mean, that's to them, that's just an unacceptable amount of risk, because they don't wanna be out $12 million, but we're significantly reducing their risk by having pre-signed contracts by the end of May.
But Jackie, one of the first things you said was that as the pricing is shaking out now, these pre-signed contracts, these people are paying 48% of their income to their.
Well, hold on, the thing we did, again, and I've actually done this in previous projects, again, I'll use this, it wasn't my project, but Mount Crestview, which is above Crestview, the ski resort, had a project where the developer went under in the middle of the build. And this was the tactic they used, they did a fire incentive.
Yeah.
And by keeping this, any of those 17 buyers who stick with the project are also getting that up to $30,000 of buyer incentive. So quite literally, they have a $30,000 reason to stay around. And that's to keep Oak, to get them to contract and keep Oak engaged. So.
And this money is also bringing down the cost of housing for each individual.
Yeah, so go back to this, sorry, keep doing this. Any of these buyers, the first 17, I mean, I don't want to just say you're taking 30 off of that price, but you're taking, the way it works is it 6%? You can do a interest buy down of up to 6% of the purchase price. So, a portion of the funds, that 30,000 will actually go to buying interest rate buy downs, which will go a lot further for buyers than actually just taking 30,000 off of it. So they'll probably get about 6 to 8 grand in buyer buy down credit and then 24 off of that price point.
And then any dollars that come off of that price point, so that house remains at that affordable level as it goes forward, because there's going to be a price cap on what the home can escalate per year of only 2% per year. So if say, 24,000, 30,000, whatever it is used to buy down the purchase price, that goes forward for next buyers, so it's not just for these buyers that.
Yeah, the 2% appreciation for the deed restriction is the purchase price. So if their purchase price is $250 on that Albert, it starts, the 2% appreciation starts at $250. But again, if I was, which I commend again, we had almost all the buyers show up to the lottery, and those first 17, to Ann's point, they put their names in a hat without even having a 3-bedroom floor plan. So we cooked on 3 bedroom, it was a 2-bedroom. So I was embarrassed, but it also just shows the need that's there.
And Amy has joined us from Oakwood, if you have any questions for her. Amy, we started a little bit early.
Hi, everyone. Just gonna mute and stay here in case there's any questions and keep listening.
Thanks, Amy. Okay, so at the next board meeting, what's gonna be in front of us? Can you make that really clear?
Yes, so at your next board meeting, we have a resolution to either authorize approval of going after this Prop 123 funding. And then at your first meeting in May, you'll have if you were to go after the Prop 123 and submit, which is due on May 1st, the application, the first meeting in May, we have a contract to move forward with it.
Great, and we have a special meeting on Monday, right? To be able to do to approve the Prop 123.
And these, like I said, don't be alarmed when you see that what the plan I have is to move the Hope up into those 2 units of the Hope that are here and make, so there'll be 6 Shermans that'll be discounted and 0 Hopes. So that'll mess with the numbers very slightly, so I don't want you to think like, oh, there was already price changes. Because I think what we talked about is the reason the Hopes are more expensive is they are on 6th Street and their parking is in the alley. And we put in secondary entrances, and so when we did that, we put in a mudroom. So if people come in the house, they don't have to walk all the way down the side of the house in the middle of winter. They can come in from the side and there's a mudroom with a locker room.
Nice.
So they're bigger than the Alberts as well, so I think we just make both Hopes 100% and above, and then discount 2 more Shermans. Just for consistency.
Does the resolution have the setting aside for funds?
So what's required of the county, so I don't even wanna go into the state spreadsheet. The state spreadsheet recognizes all of the other funds that you put up. So, let me just, so I can tell you, it actually only is requiring, I think, 600 of the county. The county's only committing to 600. Really, what you're committing the 982 is the buyers, not the state. Because the state's assuming, your state grant is assuming that they're giving you that 980. But let me just double check the final number, because if I change $1 anywhere in the spreadsheet, it just changes every number. It's really. So yeah, as of, let's start out. So as of, with these numbers, as of this morning, the county is only committing 604 in the actual, if you go after it.
Okay.
So you're out, yeah, so your resolution will say 604.
Okay.
One last thing I'd like to just real quick bring up is the second lottery. And so you have 5 participating agencies that have partnered with the county, including the county. So City of Leadville, Parkville Water, School District, Hospital District, Parkville Water, whatever it is.
That's the city and county.
City, county, school district, hospital district, Parkville Water. So those are 5. My suggestion on doing the second round of lottery is to give any of the qualified, if you're employed by one of those organizations, 2 picks versus 1 pick for anybody else.
A weighted lottery.
Well, those agencies have put in
Yeah, just acknowledging it.
Yeah, I think they, was it 2.8 that they've committed from this 5 agencies?
So, I mean, we have
It's on that
split up,
slide. Yeah.
oh, that,
What was the?
The only reason I'm asking, just some direction,
Which is the red one.
here it is. It's 1.1, that doesn't include the property, so it's 2.3.
Those 5 agencies have put 2.3 million into the private area. So my question is, just because I'd like to start drafting, because I know I need to move very fast on the lottery, and you aren't giving, I'm just asking for direction for the draft, and you can debate this at your next meeting, but does that sound like an alright approach to start with? Is that those 5 agencies, an applicant that works for those 5 agencies would get an extra pick in that second lottery?
So much hinges on us making sure these things get filled up, and that improves our odds of filling these up.
What I don't wanna have is a tiered lottery like we did the first time,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanna pick as many names as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because the longer the waiting list is, the better we're reducing our risk by having, because so we will draw everybody's name in the lottery.
Yeah.
So we'll draw if there's 7 units left, we'll draw 7, they'll assign they will actually pick their unit at the lottery, any leftover units.
Yeah.
And then we'll continue to pick names, and every name will be placed in the order that they are picked for the waiting list. So if we have 40 people, we'll have 33 people on our waiting list. And that's why I wanna do it as one big lottery instead of doing what we had previously done. Cause you would be technically allowed, because we can put 25%, so say there's 8 units left over, we could do a first tier and do 2 people from the first tier, which would be the 5 agencies, so we could hold 2 units aside for them. And then do a second lottery with everybody else for the remaining 6 plus a waiting list. But what you just identified is, you're much better off just having one lottery and having a bigger waiting list. Reduce the risk.
Well, the saved units would be, if they didn't get enough applicants, it would revert back to the general lottery, right?
No, what I'm saying is, so the state allows you to tier a lottery up to 25%, up to 25% of the units can be in the first tier for any of those 5 agencies. So if there's 8 units, that'd be 2 units, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the last lottery we did, when we originally proposed it, was a tiered lottery, and we had 6 set aside for the first tier, and then anyone who didn't win that first tier would have gone into tier 2 and then draw. What I'm proposing is alternatively, anybody who works for the 5 agencies just gets an additional pick in the lottery, so your name's in the hat twice.
Didn't somebody from each one of those entities get represented in the first lottery?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's why I would also say that I think of the 17 buyers, 12 of them work for one of the 5 agencies. So 12 of the 17 buyers, current buyers, are either county, city, school district, water district, or hospital district employees.
Yeah.
So I think you've kind of already
It's a lot.
honored that anyways, so just giving them an extra pick would be a bonus. But
My inclination would be to not do that. I think that that to me feels like a little too much putting your finger on the scale. And this is our entire community who needs it. So I would not give that direction personally.
I agree.
Okay.
They're already at 50% of the overall problem. So they still have a chance, they just don't have a weighted chance.
Right.
And they have the
And they're
option to
already
apply
represented in half of the units
And that's
already. Yeah, it's, in my mind, I'm making this comparison to government funded science. like directing where you spend scientific dollars should not be actually directed by the government, you just provide it and then the science gets to determine what you spend the money on. I'm just having that comparison in my head. I don't want
It
government
makes,
to
it makes
dictate.
it easier to do it that way, so I don't have any issue.
Yeah, cool.
So we'll bring you the other thing on at your first meeting, we'll bring you a contract and a lottery, and we'll get going on advertising and get as many people interested in this as we can. So that we can reduce that risk, because that's a stupid thing, right?
In the meantime, it'd be helpful to have a real concise breakdown of what the ask is, and how much we put in, how much it's gonna cost us. Cause as a builder right now, I'm a little confused by all these numbers, and I know I'm gonna get asked, so I'd like to be able to say, this is what we put in, this is what we're looking to, and also, if we do get the grant or if we don't get the grant, it seems to me like we're pretty much have to move forward, or we're gonna have vacant lots with utilities that just sit there.
And
Yeah,
we're gonna
like, yeah.
burn a grant bridge, right, like,
I would be, I'm not, I guess with the horizontal infrastructure grant, I'm not concerned, and here's why. In Crescent Butte, I put in subdivision for 101 units, and I built it over 8 years, or 6 years. So, same concept of the grant, and the state let me phase it because of construction costs and.
You have 10 years.
Yeah, we have 10 years to build out the property. So I'm not concerned that we're burning the bridge with it, I guess is my goal.
Yeah.
So having built an entire affordable housing neighborhood and doing this exact system, I'm like, sometimes you have to pay. The advantage of doing all 20 floors, the economies of scale. You build 6 at a time, and you're definitely money. So your purchasing power of 24 is a lot higher. Okay, and I do apologize, like I said, I was adjusted, like we saved, before I shut my computer, we saved $300,000 today by upgrading there today. So.
Why is there interest in there? I thought they were self-financing.
So they charge, that's considerably less than what we were gonna pay, but Berkshire Hathaway.
Loans money to themselves.
Cause they're losing that, that money's out the door, they're losing those.
The benefit is they don't have to get approved,
Right.
which is the issue that we ran into.
Right.
Well, and our previous, or actually the loan origination fees when we priced out Adams was $560,000. The bank's fees, everything else. So that's $400,000 basically less.
With the risk removed of, can I get financing?
Also, we don't have to leave the dealership.
Yeah.
Which is always the case. Okay, well, we'll be back on Monday, we'll have a very strong breakdown of everything else, and again, I'm hoping that, I just got another text from Scott, so I'm hoping that he's finding more money that we can keep saving and I can keep adjusting these numbers, so, we're doing everything we can to make this as affordable as possible right now.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah,
Thank you,
no,
Jenny.
I will just say, the thanks really for the fact that they got on a plane and went to middle of nowhere, Nebraska for you guys. It's not me, it's done with you, so,
Thank you, Amy.
yeah,
We really appreciate you all.
I never expected that from them.
Oh, it's our pleasure. I mean, really, I think it made us nervous, but I think when we were reapproached, it became clear pretty quickly that the only way to meet a 2025 timeline was to use the product that had been planned to this point. And so our team just, if our name's going to be behind it, we need to know what we're putting out there. So the good news is that they felt really good about what they saw, and I think started a relationship with the factory, and so we want to be 100% sure we can stand behind what we're gonna deliver for you, and so it was something we felt we needed to do for the wellness of the whole project, and I think we had a good result. So we're keeping at it. Everybody's rolling up their sleeves, talking multiple times every day, and it's been a really great collaboration, and we are committed to staying at the table and trying to figure this out, and appreciate all the work that Jackie and Michael and all the other kind of consulting teams that have put in work to this point. So, and appreciate all of your thinking on this as well. So it's our pleasure.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Well, team, chin up. We'll figure it out. Thank you so much for, I
Yeah.
appreciate the attitudes that come into this room about this project. In no way do I think that you all are skimping or failing at your jobs. It's complicated.
We've been at this since 2022, so I'm
Yeah.
like, all my favorite chips are on the table at this point, like.
Yeah.
I'll put my shoelaces on the table at some point here.
It's feeling like that a little bit.
It is.
Yeah.
You could ask my wife, she's sick of me getting up at 4 in the morning and going out to my computer to adjust numbers. So,
Okay, well, we'll see you all again on Monday. Prop 123.
yeah, I will I will commit to having a memo, a breakdown and explaining all this on Friday.
Thank you.
So you have a weekend to look at it.
That's awesome.
And they'll be back, the open team will be back from Nebraska, and I think we're gonna meet on Thursday, so just bear with me for one more day to make sure I have everything I need to do.
Great.
Cool.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your hard work on this.
Yes, really, both of you.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
If it was easy, it would have been done.
It's actually, it's really funny, is there's a picture of me like my first day at Crescent Butte. I have a full head of hair and curls and no gray in my beard. And after 6 years of doing this in Crescent Butte, I was like, oh. It's really like, cause they, you know how they take your picture like in Salida, I got like really young because I was 24, and I think I was 34 when I started, or 35, and I still looked like I was like, you wouldn't even have to wear sunglasses, but I was like, I could get clear up.
Causation or correlation?
Red eye and bushy tail.
I was like, yeah, I'll take on housing.
Hey.
I'll build a neighborhood for the locals.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds fun.
See you, Mike.
Thank you.
Bye, Michael.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
Bye, Jackie.
Bye, y'all. Take care.
Thank you, Amy.
Bye, Ann.
So, bye-bye.
What a day. That's the end of your agenda week.
Well, it's 3:53 p.m. We will conclude today's work session of the Lake County Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.